swallow the pain, a bit disturbed by these displays. Now we've got nothing to say, the silence growing delay. So here we are drifting apart, neither willing to drop their guard. Haven't we got something to say, the distance growing delay. From years and years of pain, the cracks go deeper than we can see. Let's take a good look at where we are now. Maybe the end's the starting houses. Give me one reason to take the breath and breathe for granted. Hold it so long that you forget to say. Give me one reason to remain confined within the fences. Here with you and my soul on display. Give me one reason to take the breath and breathe for granted. Hold it so long that you forget to say. Give me one reason to remain confined within the fences. Stuck here with you and my soul on display.
I hear the train a-comin'. It's rollin' around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine. I don't know when. I'm looking for the present, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rollin'. On down to San Antonio. On down to San Antonio. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Don't ever play with guns.
Hello everybody and welcome to Daytona Beach, Florida, the intersection of where dreams are made and legends are born. Today we're going to add one more name to that list as we get ready to go racing for the great simulation race, the HTL 300 here at Daytona, the World Center of Racing. I'm Kristina Ryan, alongside me as always is Carmen, Sienna, and Carmen, this is one of the biggest days we have ever had on ABN and HTL. The vibes are immaculate and the excitement is palpable. How are you feeling, first of all? And walk us through your emotions. We're in the booth and we're excited for this one. It shows how exciting it's about to be tonight.
You know, I've heard a whole big speech for Countdown to Green an hour ago, and I think, undersold how big and important this race is to not only HTL Esports tonight, but for us as a whole. This is the biggest event we've ever done. It is so important, not only to the drivers, but to the teams and to the community as a whole. 51 people tried to make this race. Only 36 get to. That in itself is an insane number. We don't see very often outside of, you look at the big groups like Elite or Podium. Even they have trouble sometimes doing that. HTL made that look easy. They handled it very good. And we saw from the duels, amazing racing. This is, as I mentioned in the pre-race show on ABN Esports 2, this is some of the best and brightest in and around ABN's sort of sphere of drivers all going together for one thing, and that is to join a group of legends that have only won this race. Only one driver gets to do that. 36 drivers are going to try. There's so many new faces going after the top prize tonight. It's going to be an insane 3 hours of action, but you don't get this feeling, the goosebumps this early. I had goosebumps at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
It's 90 degrees, and it's hot as whatever here in ABN Studios. But you get those goosebumps like you've just watched it through like a freezer. The anticipation is high, the intensity is even higher. As a driver, it's a nightmare scenario because you just can't ever get those nerves in check. But that's sort of what makes it so special, because you don't get those feelings very often, and that makes it so special tonight. And to be able to just watch it and see how everyone does tonight is nothing short of spectacular, and it's great to just be along for the ride at this point.
Absolutely, and of course, you said it's going to be a fun 3 hours. It's going to feel like 10 minutes with how fast these races have been going all speed weeks long. It's been such a fun one to watch. It's been so entertaining and just overwhelmingly encapsulating from flag to flag. It feels like in every event we've had, even the little short track race at New Smyrna, every single race has had us on the edge of our seats. It seems like that you said as well that they're not doing a good example of proving my point, but we talk about how this is the best of the best. They are the best at plate racing. There is no better league out there that does plate racing better than HTL right now. And I would say there's only maybe two others that come to mind. This is what this group does best, and this is what they live for on the side of iRacing. This is their biggest day of the year, and that's not an understatement. There were over 50 drivers that competed for 36 spots on the grid. And I think only one of them almost even got the tap because of a driver injury, but it's so important to them that they're racing through that injury. So that's how much it means to these drivers to be here and race here tonight.
Absolutely. The pageantry and the aura that this track provides, and we'll be able to kind of dig deep into what that aura feels like once this race really gets underway. There's nothing like it. I mentioned that, it's really up there with Indianapolis, and it's on its own little platform there as far as tracks in the U.S. Tracks like Le Mans, tracks like Monaco, they're great little, one-trick tracks. Daytona is important not only to stock cars, it's important to motorcycles, it's important to sports cars. If you have an important season, it typically starts here. And every season we've done HTL competition, every time we've broadcasted HTL Cup Series, this race has started in a holiday. Last season it started the day after Christmas. Now it's Labor Day. This is such a resounding venue. It's so expansive, it's so large, it's so hard to grasp just how important this race is. There's so much you can say, and none of it ever quite justifies or quantifies how you feel when you climb into a race car here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not only just the race itself. This racetrack, as you mentioned, so special. It's seen so many different people from so many different walks of life and so many different racing disciplines come here. And it's not just gonna keep your foot pegged and turn left for 3 hours. It's so much more than that, and that's something it's hard to understand that from outside of the race car, but we're both drivers, and a lot of the people watching tonight are also drivers. We know how hard it is to conquer Daytona.
It is extremely difficult to conquer Daytona, and I finished second here. My best finish here ever was second, and that was in the Gen 6. However, we do have access to someone who has conquered this track in different various forms. Conquered this track, and the iRacing Daytona 500 has conquered this racetrack, and Court has conquered this racetrack. All around the iRacing hemisphere, we're going to do something a little bit special here, and bear with us because this is a brand new thing. We spent a lot of time working on this. We had our Daytona 500 champion for a couple years ago, our Open Wheel World champion, Kristina Ryan, run some laps around this place to give us a perspective from a driver that knows what it's like to win here, how important this track is, and what these drivers will be dealing with here tonight.
The Daytona International Speedway opened in 1959. Much different than the days when they ran on the beach. This track may be a lot faster and a lot taller, but the majesty is still there, and it is just as difficult, far more difficult than what you would think. So let's take a lap here. The first thing is the pit rate speed, 60 miles an hour. It feels like an eternity when you're going 210 at some times. But coming out onto the track here, you immediately are taken back by the 31-degree banking. These drivers are going to be in fourth gear almost all day long. And they need to be going over 100 plus because it's sometimes behind the pace car speed, they'll fall off the banking and start sliding down with how tall it is here. Down the back straightaway, where a lot of the big ones tend to happen and a lot of the runs are generated. You can't go below that yellow line on the inside there. This track, as the years go on, it was repaved over a decade ago and starting to wear out again with this next generation car. It's becoming more of a handling track. And if you unload out of turn 4 there, the grip is low. Really falls away from the car. Now through the triangle here, this is the lightest part of the racetrack. And it's going to be really hard for these drivers, especially with the air pushing them around and getting hit everybody around them to try and keep the car in order. I'm only going about 180 right now, but I can tell you that they'll be going well over 200 in the pack, and that's a huge difference. If any of these drivers fall off the pace, they will be in big trouble in a hurry. It looks easy to drive this thing around by yourself, but the hardest thing is when you do it with 35 other drivers who all have one thing on their mind, which is winning here. The biggest thing is how narrow this track really becomes when you put them 3 and 4 wide and when a wreck happens in front of you. I've been lucky enough to win the Daytona multiple times, but no matter what it is, what series, what league, it does not matter how you win a Daytona. What matters is that you do, and that will stay with you forever. It's a track that commands a lot of respect. It is very, very stressing both on the mind and the body. And this is something these drivers are going to have to keep in mind all day long. The second hardest thing about running in the pack is trying to make pit stops. And as I try to bring this car down on the pit road, it shows how quickly and how difficult it is to try to get it off of turn 4 here and slow down without speeding to get back to that pedestrian pit lane speed limit. Oh! We barely made it. I guarantee you somebody won't today. There's a lot more to it here, but there's a lot of luck and a lot of talent that comes into winning a race at Daytona. We'll see who's got it tonight.
So in my defense, In my defense, okay, it was early morning, and they threw me in the car, and look, the brakes were cold.
The brakes are going to be cold tonight, too. Still going to get a little bit of pit lane practice in there, it looks like. Didn't quite cook the tires enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
You had a free set, and you left too much on those rims.
Well, you could hear me coming in the pit lane. I was sounding a bit more like this than I was earlier, so...
And you were completely on it, like, as close as you cut it.
Yeah.
There. It was a lot... It was hilarious just looking at telemetry when we came in this afternoon. It was hilarious looking at telemetry, just like, that's a really close margin for that pit limiter.
I was just showing the foot cam, you know? I was just giving everybody a little something to watch, a little bit of flair, you know? I'm a performer second. I'm a race car driver first,
yeah.
but...
Absolutely. Some drivers, you were completely right, though, on that. Some drivers will end up getting that wrong. We saw that in the duels. We saw it with Caitlin Height, our pole sitter, in Shad Spotsworth. They had trouble in making that pit stop in the duels. So you were completely right on that, but... you definitely need showing that you're a little bit out of practice here, especially in this car.
Hey, it doesn't matter how long it's been since you've won a Daytona 500. What matters is you've won a Daytona 500, so...
That's a fair point. I finished second. There's a difference. You've got a ring. I don't.
There you go. Oh my gosh. No, that was so much fun to do, and I think they're gonna let me go out and get on the road course later this week. So since that's what we come back to in 1 week's time, so
we're spending so much time in Florida. It's weird.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be at the Daytona road course. We get to see the curbstones put up there after this race for road course next week, and then we go to Homestead. We go down to Miami in 2 weeks' time for a race. They're probably one of my personal favorite 1.5 mile tracks at Homestead, Miami. It's going to be fun seeing this field take on to that, especially with bump qualifying happening at Homestead. Typically, it happens at the end of the season. We can see it at the start, so that's going to be special.
Well, speaking of bump qualifying, they're doing a little bump drafting right now, and also speaking of things that you're familiar with, you love statistics, Carmen. You are well, I can't say on air what you are for statistics, but let's just say you've had some back alley deals for some good data. And you have some picks, some ones to watch tonight. Why don't you walk us through those 4 drivers on screen right now?
Yeah, a lot of storylines surrounding these 4, and it's something that I've kind of tried to keep on radar throughout this past week. We'll start off with the defending race winner from this race, Nathan Eastep. Talked to him at the beginning of Countdown to Green. He suffered an injury on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, he was listed as being out for this race. It was going to be Angel Santiago in that 90 car for this event. Things changed for the better midday Sunday. He felt safe enough to drive. He's still nursing that injury. It is an open wound on the back of his, I believe it's his left leg, that he is dealing with right now. And at a track like this, where you have to deal with the clutch, especially on pit lane, the brakes, and the throttle, trail braking is going to be really difficult for him. That's going to be a potential interference for him. We're going to probably see that number 90 keep it pretty easy this first half of the race. But it doesn't matter. He was keeping it easy in the duels, too, and he still came back and almost won that thing. He's had the best B weeks of anybody ever in HTL history. He can do that again. It's going to be a bit difficult, but not impossible for that number 90 car. Caitlin Height, traditionally not that great at Daytona. We've seen her completely rock Talladega. But tracks like Daytona and Atlanta, which are going to be more similar to each other than Talladega is, Caitlin suffered a lot of bad luck here. She's starting on pole position. She is the winningest driver active in the HTL Cup Series, and it's not even close. Can she shake off that bad luck and win from pole position? No one's won this race from pole. That's going to be difficult. Stats are against her, but she's used to defying the odds. We've seen that throughout her entire career here, through Court, through ABN, through HTL. We'll see if she can do that again tonight. The spotlight's as bright on her as it's ever been, now that we know what she's capable of at a championship level. Jeremy Breo, he's a late add. The 88 car for Carolina Beagle Racing, Steven Oberstadt, and the team's mascot, Ralph, the most adorable mascot we've seen in HTL history. They're watching the defending ARC's A-Squared Cup Series champion, Jeremy Breo. He won the ARC's version of this race back in February. It was a dominant performance. However, he is on his own tonight in the number 88 machine. He's starting in 33rd. Not a great starting position, but also a good chance for him to sit back, avoid the melee early if it does happen, and try to make his way through the field. He's a late charger, just like E-Step typically is. We may see them move up the field together, but 100%, as a driver with over a dozen wins in this car already, he's a threat 100%, especially here at Daytona. And of course, we can't leave the reigning series champion out of the equation. New faces on NFG Motorsports, new teams, a part of the 3-team alliance there for NFG, Coast to Coast, and Militia Motorsports. Zach Meredith looks confident. He's starting 14th. Not a great starting spot, but the average win for plate tracks comes from 13th or lower. So Meredith's right in that sweet spot of being able to go to the win. Statistically speaking, money's going to be on him a little bit.
Absolutely, and we know how good he is at passing cars. It was part of what put him in position to win that championship, how he works through traffic. Of course, this track is a little easier than others to work through traffic, but it's its own beast, more or less. And Carmen, they're calling the drivers to their cars. They're getting them ready to grid up. I think it's almost time for the HTL Daytona 300, and that is a sentence we've been waiting to say for about a whole speed weeks now.
It's so exciting, this track. We mentioned it. I mentioned it in my monologue at the top of Countdown to Green over an hour ago. It doesn't feel like it's been it's been almost an hour and a half. It doesn't ever feel like that. This track is so special. We see that, and now it's race time. Now you've got to buckle up, and the game face has to come on. The visor comes down, and you know that the next 3 hours are all built for this. The past month of preparation has all led to this moment. The spotlight has not shined any brighter on these drivers than what they are now. Some drivers are returning home. Some drivers emerging into a wide open ocean of talent. Who sinks, who swims is the question tonight. I'm excited to find that out. I think we're going to be surprised. The question is by who?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a quick overview of the Daytona International Speedway, a track that typically needs no introduction, but if you missed it, I'm sure you got all the details you were looking for in that little ABN Hot Laps feature. 2.5 miles, if you want to be very specific, 2.48, built in 1959. Of course, it's been a long time since these cars were driving out on the beach itself, but the vibe is still there. You can see it from the new Daytona Rising grandstands, which were built here, completed in 2014. Lots of fun little details reading up about that in the last few days, but also take a look at the weather. 6-mile-an-hour wind, 88 degrees. It's a pretty hot one, but that partly cloudy is going to be something to keep an eye on because it's going to put some shade over the racetrack, and that can drastically change the temperature of the track and the way that the drivers are going to be racing. But not only that, as this day progresses on, it's only going to get more and more dynamic as that sun starts to set and those shadows start to crawl. It's go time now as we get ready now to be able to show you the starting grid. We've known it for a while, of course, but we're very happy to be able to show you officially now the HTL Daytona 300 starting grid. It's going to be Katie Height and Tommy Withers on pole. We've known that for a while. However, look at all these names and all these wild cards and dark horses. John Hagan in row 2, winning his heat, as did Bren Roberts to lock himself into the Daytona 300 a week ago. You have Nathan Estep alongside Selena Thompson with Jake Millsap and Josh Gaiman. And then Josh Sosi and Scott Poznansky round out the top 10, Carmen.
Blake Henderson won 3 races in Season 2. Didn't win last season. He's looking to win at this race. He won the ABN version of this race back in May. But that feels like eons ago, and a field has only gotten stronger here in HTL. This is his home playground, but he needs to try to find a way to victory lane. Team Sun Motorsports has a lot of help between that and Unforgiven Motorsports, but still a lot of work to do across this 36-car field. Alongside him, his teammate, though, Zach Apperson in row 6. We get to see Zach Apperson back, finally, after a lot of issues last season, kept him off the racetrack. Looking there in that top 7, or really in that top 12 there. Blake Galloway, his debut tonight, a phenomenal duel one. Saw him and James Wright get into the race. He'll start 13th alongside the defending series champion. Good company in that top 14 with Zach Meredith. James Wright in 15th. Eli Sasek, the team principal for Ascent Racing, starting in 16th. Then it's Ryan Moutre and DJ Anderson in the top 18. Moutre, his best finish came at a plate track, Talladega, last season, looking to do just a little bit better and possibly win his first race at HTL competition here tonight. Chad Swadsworth, championship contender last season, traditionally not lucky here. He starts at the 10th row of the field in 19th position. Alfred Denny has been successful at Daytona, won a shootout, has won duels, has won exhibition races, needs to win when it counts now. He's going to be a threat. That entire Deep Racing squad is a threat, but that top 20 is stacked.
Absolutely, and then you have some more names here that can really throw a wrench in things and have over the years and months on ABN competition. One of those names, Lilac Zier. Look for her to pull some random strategy. It either works or it doesn't, but hey, if it works, it works. She's had some incredible runs, uses bold strategy calls. Joel Rodriguez in the 91, we saw him driving the wheels off of that car a week ago. Lily Pelletier-Sharp coming off of one of her best finishes ever on the short track in Milwaukee, flies back to Florida, starts 23rd tonight. Matthew Boone in the 28 machine, sitting in 24th beside her. Then it's Cole Snyder and Ryan Pennell. And Ryan Pennell, a man who needs no introduction. Jared Merchant had a unfortunate time in the duels, but is ready to put that behind him and get rolling. And Hunter Peach, the most recent points race winner, racing for NFG once again. He will be starting from 28th with Kevin Gibney and Gary Donaldson to round out the top 30, Carmen.
Josh Arnold, his debut, he's the furthest back of the alliance there between NFG and Militia and Coast to Coast. Had to think of it for a second. Kyle Taub did not take part. He'll start in the last row, so he's got a little bit of help there at the back, but it's going to be few and far between as that team tries to get forward. He's alongside Tommy Reynolds, filling in for Dylan McDonald. Dylan, personally, I feel for you. My condolences to your family for the loss of your loved one there. We're thinking of you. 96 is in good hands with Tommy Reynolds, but Dylan, our thoughts are with you. Take care of yourself this week, and hopefully we get to see you very soon. Jeremy Brea will follow in row 17, 33rd place for him on his debut in HTL alongside Connor Morris, who's been perfect in Speed Week so far. Won the exhibition race at New Smyrna, did not take part in the duels, but he knows how to get it done here in the number 3 car. Doesn't matter who's in it, is intimidating here at Daytona. Kyle Taub, ABN Champ Car Race winner, won his first race in HTL in the 8-Pack Challenge at Kentucky, our home race for ABN Studios. Let's see if he can do it again for a points race here in the HTL Cup Series. And he'll be joined by Chris Pendell, who a long time ago won this very same race back in Season 2. Can he do that again? We'll have to go through 35 cars to make it happen, but never say never.
Absolutely, and of course, real quick here, Carmen, who are your picks to win this race? I heard about the things that we said about Katie Height, and while they're true, I'm putting my money on her tonight. Computer says Henderson will do it.
Both of them are decent picks. Henderson's not been successful here too often much. Estep, despite being injured, still has that know-how. There's no one smarter at how to pick off drivers in this field. Absolutely. I think the number 90's got it.
All right, here we go. Green flag in the air. The Daytona 300 is green.
You're clear. Both push it up. Not yet.
Quarter out. Stay right now. Go Lane up, outside, 3 mid. Momentum, keep it tight, keep pushing.
Lap 1 in the books, cleanly. Only 119 to go, Carmen.
Only. For us, it's going to go by in a blur. For the drivers, it's going to go by a lot slower.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're single file now, playing it a bit smart early on. You can see.
And the thing is, you start micromanaging and hyper-focusing on certain things. You almost enter a Matrix-type thought process. Everything acts like it moves in slow motion, especially if something goes wrong. Mm-hmm. Everything works in slow motion for your mind. You can kind of see it happen as it arrives, especially those that have that experience here. But you're going to have your head on a pivot. It's almost like being like a night owl. You have to literally have your head 360 degrees. You're looking in the mirror, and sometimes that's not enough. You have to look around you. You have to have your spotter. Pray that your spotter calls it in time. Early on, you can kind of just lay low, kind of just let things vibe. 3 stages tonight, not going to be a significant issue as we're on board with Tommy Withers here in the number 6 car. Start on the front row, slip back a few positions. But not a bad effort so far. Down in 11th place for that number 6 car. That X-Side Batteries machine. A good little throwback to Jeff Burton's 1999 car for the Unforgiven Motorsports driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Raced his way into the show on time as a unchartered driver, something we didn't think we'd see throughout the week. So, taking it a little easy early on. Nothing wrong with that. It's a long way to go. One of the longest races of the season.
Only other race that's this same length, 300 miles, is the race in Charlotte later on in the season.
Look at this. Challenge for the lead. Scott Poznanski with some help for the 21 of Alfred Denny. Going to get around Katie Height, and it looks like they're both going to clear and try and scoot down. Now, this is just the start of what we're going to be seeing all day long, Carmen. You saw that 2-car tango push out ahead, and those 2 clear. See the Ascent teammates working on the top as well. Sorry.
No, you're good. Joel Rodriguez filling in for Elias Flores. Missed the race in the number 91 car in the duels. Elias Flores deputized, sat back and said, you know what, Joel's a little more comfortable here. Let him have a shot. So he's in the 99, and Selena Thompson in the 10.
And we saw what he did in the heat, or in his duel. He didn't make the race, but he went from the back to the front twice. He got to the back to the front, got caught up in a wreck, and then did it again. So he definitely deserves his spot here, even if he was the backup plan. So, and he's showing it now because him and Selena Thompson, who's been having a career weekend, career month rather, chilling on that outside lane as they try to work their way inside the top 5. One of the youngest drivers in HTL on that outside lane in the red number 10.
See what she can do. I don't think they're quite worked together the same way the deep racing drivers are. Obviously, we talk about this a little bit, and we'll talk about this more as we see momentum have to work here. You kind of need 3 cars in that line if you're going to try to adequately make it forward. Deep racing, experts at this plate racing game. Doesn't matter if it's Poznanski, Denny, Chris Pindell, Nathan Estep. All of them are so good at this style of racing. You have to trail brake if you're the leading car. And that's what Selena Thompson, I don't think, is quite figured out. Is you need the trail brake to allow the car behind to really hook up. And you see, they've got it figured out now. But I think they've lost too much momentum to that inside line to really get forward, because now there's too many cars in front of them that can take away that momentum from them if they want to get back to the front. You see, the 64 of Hagen may try to do just that, try to get to the front. Hagen missed out on winning the ABN Daytona 300 back in May. He's going to want to try to win this one for sure for Jacob Shingle Racing. But everyone kind of keeping an eye on it. Rodriguez fell back to the inside lane. Thompson will probably have to do the same here. No dice so far for that team.
But as we saw down the back straightaway, that's okay. This is a 9-car breakaway already starting 7 laps into this race. Tommy Withers leading that second pack. And look at the gap that they've already managed to pull here early on because they weren't side by side. They're not saving as much fuel as these drivers up here, back here rather, might be. They're off and away. And the interesting about this, Shad Swansworth is not up there with his teammate Katie Height.
No.
But
Swansworth started later in the field.
Are you surprised to see the parity this extreme this early? You think there's some strategy at play here? Of course, we're racing to stages, so we have to keep that in mind. In fact, we have it here for you. In a moment, we'll get it. There it is. So they're racing to 25. There's 3 stages tonight.
That is the very cusp of the fuel mileage limit, we believe. Is 25 laps. We set the fuel window to 22 to 27 laps. I think some drivers, if they need to, can stretch it to 30. Not a lot of drivers have tried to do that yet, but we think that they can. They think that is enough, especially in this giant pack that's beyond the top 10. We think that it's possible. But I think a lot of drivers are trying to save just a little bit to get to the end of the stage. The issue is that with 9 cars breaking away, it's everyone battling for 1 point.
Yeah.
For those unfamiliar, stages are done in a 10-to-1 fashion for stage 1 and 2. If you win the stage, you get 10 points. If you're 10th, you get 1 point. That's pretty simple how that works. Stage 1 and Stage 2, the end of those stages award those points, and then the end of Stage 3 is the end of the race. You get race points for that. That's where all the big points are offered.
On board with race leader Scott Poznansky, who has not lost the lead since him and Alfred Denny tangoed in front. You know, it doesn't matter if people are taking it easy or not, Carmen. Leading at Daytona is such a special feeling. And if you're Scott right now, you are soaking it in for every last second that you can. Because who knows how long
100%.
you'll be out there tonight. And it doesn't matter if you get caught up in the big one. You know you're leading right now. You know you got up there at some point. And that's just as important as anything else, honestly. I still would say a day where I ran up front all day and got wrecked is maybe not on the point sheet, but as far as my psyche and my ego goes, I'd rather have that than run at the back all day and then finish second.
Yeah, and for Poznansky, this is an important one, too, because he's not had a great run of form. It's been a long time since he's even finished on the podium. He finished on the podium once, and that was back in the first season of HTL, back in 2021. It's been a long road for that number 12 car. Right now, it's a big confidence boost to not only be out front, but to have help being out front. You're in a good team situation. It seems like Deep Racing's got a lot of things figured out there. So we'll see what that number 12 car can do. But so far, starting up the season, the best possible way, and that is out front.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the leaders on the bottom side of your screen, and on the top, you can see the secondary pack, which is also chilling. Nobody's really making crazy moves, which is smart. I think this shows a lot of the maturity. We've been talking about that all Speed Weeks, the maturity of these drivers as we've come into this Speed Weeks versus last. Obviously a lot of rookies, but a ton of returning drivers, and it's really, really showing here, and it's so good to see, because once upon a time, we'd be behind the pace car twice in 11 laps.
One's just got to kind of keep it easy and stay calm at the situation. You're racing to the end of the stage. There's 120 laps in this race. Stage 1's only 25. That is not even a quarter of this race. So drivers need to kind of keep that in mind. How important is it to get 10 points or even just 1 point if you're in the second pack compared to, you know, being in the rest of the race? You've only got one fast repair. And remember, outside of the play tracks, there's none. So it gets even more critical the further into the season we go here, to not make those level of mistakes. Everyone so far being well behaved, inside lane all the way through, single file all the way through. Very clever driving so far. We love seeing it. A lot of maturity that we see a lot of leagues miss. HTL's got it in spades.
Absolutely. And this is what it's like in that second pack, riding with your season champion from last season, Zachary Meredith. Running 16th as it stands. He started 14th, so hasn't moved too much yet. But you can see it's pretty calm. This is the calm before the storm, but it's good to see this. I think it's something that's very rare, especially in sim racing, is those boring, quote-unquote, parts of the races where, you know, they're single file. Of course, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but hey, how many times can you say that you've seen, I don't want to knock on wood yet, but how many times have we seen 8 cars come back to the checkered flag? We're in a good situation to maybe see 20 or more come back at this rate if they keep like this for now. But of course, they're just chilling into the stage. And of course, with this being the first race this season, as important as stage points are, people aren't worried as much about that as a driver. You want stage points if you can get them, but you don't care as much right now. You have a whole season to try and make up for that if you don't have a good week here. Your only focus is winning the Daytona 300. Nobody, I guarantee you, Carmen, not a single soul cares about stages right now.
No, not in the slightest. And that's the right mentality to go about it. If you get the stage points, cool, that's awesome. The win's more important because that's what gets you in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Like, losing 10, 20 points early is, you can make that up because of the 23 races on the calendar, 17 are in the regular season, right? You have 17 chances to win a race. You have 17 chances to make up points deficits. And especially if you're not keen or super comfortable at this style of racing, there's a road course right after this. Then there's an intermediate after this. Such a gauntlet of tracks that's going to help different people. It's a great way to follow up this race. The officials, the series officials for HTL, put up a phenomenal schedule this season. A lot of diversity in that calendar, and it's going to help kind of mitigate this because it's not like you're jumping from plate race to intermediate where like you're not going to have a chance in between. Mm-hmm. Right? You have multiple different opportunities, and that is so critical right now. And I think it's helped the attitude situation as we look at DJ Anderson and James Wright on their own at the very back, in danger of potentially going a lap down with the way the lead packs are. They lost the draft early. I don't know if they intended on losing the draft or just dropping to the tail of the field, because they both were up in the mid-pack.
Yeah, they got a little squirrely, and I think that they maybe didn't try to necessarily bail out, but I think they had an issue that kind of forced their hand there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for them, the good news is with the stage coming, one or both of them will get a lap back, but the bad news about all of that, unfortunately, is I think they're absolutely going to lose their lap, because you can see 35, that's their position on the top. You can actually probably, you can see the leaders poking into the top of the screen there. So it's definitely not a day ender, but it's not a great start to the 300 for them.
Yeah, especially not for drivers that need a race like this to go well for them. It's definitely a bad way to end up on the wrong foot. The leaders beginning to duke it out a little bit. Caitlin Height back to the front with help from John Hagan. They got around Pisnansky and Denny. So Caitlin Height back to the point here on lap 16. But beginning to get a little bit more dicey in the top 9 here as drivers, as those in the stage points now, are beginning to try to figure out the stage points here. They are the ones that have that ability to do that. Everyone else sort of just waiting, because 1 point's not going to help or matter at all. And they're not gaining at much at this point. Still 2.5 seconds. With 9 laps to go. We've seen stranger things happen, but they're going to need to gain a lot more than just a 10th of lap to try to get back to this battle to try to make up stage points.
You can see they're saving a little bit as well. We're typically used to seeing speeds well over 200 miles an hour. These are the top speeds around the lap, not the average speeds. But this updates every lap. You'll see it update again when they cross the line. I'm talking about that graphic on the right-hand side of your screen. We're used to seeing at least half of those drivers in the lead pack in the 200s. They're still hauling the mail, Carmen, but they are a bit off the pace as well as speed. And I think that's showing too, because you can see that second group actually starting to catch them a bit now. I think it's a matter of, did you save your fuel earlier in the run, or did you save your fuel later in the run? And I think we're starting to see that, because now these packs are starting to convene again, because look how much faster this group's been going.
Yeah, I think 2 different trains of thought there. Some drivers thinking that they could go all the way without having to save too awful much, but 25 laps is dangerous. And we know how the penalty is for having to make emergency service. You don't want to start at the back of this 26-car field in the slightest.
Yeah, here's a good boy.
Oh, here you go.
I'm not just talking about the dog on the hood there. Jeremy Breo trying to make some moves as he gets up. Interesting that he's making this move now, right as they're catching that lead pack. I wonder if he maybe thought, you can see nobody really wanted to go with him, because they're about to catch that lead pack in the Smeal Graphics number 88 machine. And that's something he's going to learn here. Of course, he's not no stranger to these kinds of races, but, you know, nobody knows him here. And he doesn't have that kind of social hierarchy that he might have in other places, like other ABM places, because we know how he races. I know how he races. I would go help him, but these guys and gals don't know that. They've never raced with him, and that's just because you're not a rookie here. You're still a rookie in HTL, and that's its own fish to fry. But now you see 6 of Tommy Withers decides to jump up and have some assistance, so we'll see what the outside pole sitter can do.
Yeah, the ARC contingency, there are a few drivers that have raced with Breo before. Withers, Pernell, they're going to have some experience with that 88 car of Breo.
Got cars coming into the pit lane. SWAT
yeah, some drivers couldn't make it. Yeah. Oh, wow. All the Arrowhead cars coming in.
Yeah, that must be by design then, but it's interesting to see.
That's going to be interesting because Height came in way earlier. Because she still had like a 2-second gap. So that's interesting to see how well they kind of get together here. 5 cars to qualify for that team. Only 3 made it. Only the 3 charters made it. So, but 3 cars is important.
Hey,
I said that 3-car tandem is going to be important. There we go.
Coming to 5 to go at the line, and you can tell. And look at that up on that outside lane. Is that what I think it is? That's Fast and Furious out on the top side there with the 24. Cole Snyder with some help from Hunter Peach and a big push from reigning champion Zachary Meredith. And look at them starting to get wiggly there in the back as well. They're starting to go for it. And to the lead, Newfound Glory. Hasn't taken us too long to say that again, has it?
Yeah, coast to coast leading the way with Snyder. And then you see the 100 Peach for Newfound Glory. That team making its way forward. But also keep an eye on the ARC contingency. Withers and Breo made their way forward as well. Team orders, team help. Obviously, friends are where you find them, but obviously a lot of familiarity, obviously, between the alliances going on here.
Interesting play there. You can see this is just a quick look at those drivers that pit. They are quite significantly ahead of the lead pack, so probably just a gas to go. There you see the leaders here. they may be able to avoid going a lap down here, and we have a few more takers into the pit lane.
Some more coming in here.
The other interesting strategy is they may not need to pit when the caution comes out now, and they'll cycle back to the front. So, but they will be off sequence by about 5 or 6 laps. So interesting to see what that does. Is a big move here, but they're all gonna have to make another pit stop again, Carmen, because as we bring it up again, the second stage is quite a bit longer. Yeah, it's a bit longer. So they'll all have to box again anyways. It's just a matter of when. And too fast, too furious for Cole Snyder. Tried to block off the one, almost got hooked by both his teammates in one go.
Yeah, Connor Peach won the stage win for himself here. Now he's starting to think the points.
Well, he has to.
Because now you're just like, okay, now everyone's in this group now. You've caught back up. Now it's sort of a little bit of a free-for-all here, coming to 3 laps to go in stage 1.
Well, think about it if you're Hunter Peach, right? You just won. You spent the whole season trying to prove yourself last year. You win the season finale. Yeah. You're at the same team, but different manufacturer, different, everything's a bit different about that car. You still need to prove yourself. You want to take that momentum, and you want to start striking while the iron is still hot, because he still remembers he's the last person to win a points race. He wants to go out and get some more points and carry that momentum. That first win is everything for you as a driver. And it's really shown, because we've seen Peach's confidence skyrocket everywhere else too. Winning is the easiest way to get better in a race car. And it sounds counterintuitive, but the psychological part of that is the truest part. On board with Cole Snyder. Getting a push from very acclaimed company. 2 to go in the stage. It looks like a little bit of
keeping it nice and tidy here.
Yeah, but John Hagan trying to surmount something up there on the outside. A little help from Ford driver of Josh Gaiman. I haven't talked about Gaiman yet in this broadcast.
We haven't talked about Josh Sosi at all. Keeping out on the 81 to 3 of Connor Morris.
We know Connor Morris, the youngest winner in HTL.
And they're going to clear the inside there.
Yeah, Connor gets to stay up past his bedtime to run this race, so... Though I guess they get Monday off.
Going a lap down.
Yeah, he pit. Remember, he pit with that group after Height did, and they had less numbers, and I think Denny might have had a slow pit stop. But you can see that other car ahead, so they're doing a nice job of negotiating that 21 machine. But this is the final lap of the stage.
In front of Withers. So everyone managed to navigate him really well. Great job on that process. But now it's a little bit of the Jacob Shangle Racing and Stepping Stone Motorsports connection, taking on Lady Liberty Motorsports, a brand new team.
And look at them go. Look at the run that they're getting on that outside in that 2-car tango. Connor Morse, gets a little bit off-centered on Sosi, but they're going to be able to generate one more big run here coming to the checkered flag.
This lap car is going to be very lucky to not go a lap down at the end of this lap. That is close as it can be.
And Sosi is going to win the stage. And now the caution comes out.
And Reynolds stays on the lead lap.
Yeah, barely. Very nicely done. And a great little battle to the stage, too. And how about that? Connor Morris pushing his teammate to the stage win.
Yeah, really good job. Josh Sosi, first stage win in HTL competition. Was our race director last season. So from the race director's chair to the racing seat, he's done a good job starting things off. He was in the top 12 in our preseason power rankings, and that's kind of part of why.
Yeah, he saw enough. He wanted to show them all how it's done. Results from the first stage scrolling by on the top of your screen. There's the top 5, and now shuffling around. So those are your point awarded drivers. And we're going to see several of them duck into the pit lane now. Looks like Hagan coming in early here.
Emergency service for the number 64 machine. He's going to start at the back of the field. Going to take an end-of-line penalty there.
Yeah,
and
I wonder
same with Cole Snyder and Zach Meredith.
I think they might have ran out of gas. They couldn't make it back around again.
25 was cutting it close. I think had they have just saved the rest of that time, it would have been a little bit easier. But they started pushing to go after those stage points. We'll see how important those stage points really are.
Well, I think it's worth it, because if you think about it in the other sense, is like, you get the points. You start at the back, sure, but like, we already saw how quickly these drivers move up through the field. I mean, Hunter Peach is up 22 spots. Connor Morse up 32 positions. He started at the back. So they'll work their way back up. This is one of those tracks where track position is important when the field is this big, 36 odd cars, but it's still Daytona. You know, qualifying matters, but not like it would at a track like Pocono, right? Or a road course. It's not your day is over if you're not in the top 10 to start with kind of situation. You can win from anywhere in the field as long as you're on the lead lap. Should see the rest of the field come into the pit lane this time, and a big shout out to Josh Sosi, winning his first career stage. And
on the mail.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, and safely delivered. No cautions in that first stage. Very nicely
Absolutely.
done by the field.
We had a prediction poll at the beginning of our broadcast here on ABN Esports 1. The over-under on the cautions. Over-under was 9.
Yeah. So far,
So-
we have had...
One.
Well, yeah, the one. Also, a little bit more of the over-under. We have the full over-under, in fact. We have a prediction for 9 cautions, 16 lead changes, and 11 different leaders. I have a feeling that those lead changes and leaders are going to be blown out of the water, and I have a feeling that those cautions, by the end of the race, ask me at halfway how I feel about that, but for now, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's so far everything started off about as perfect as it can for a race of this magnitude. Again, a lot of maturity, a lot of finesse in this field. I don't see that very often here at Daytona. A lot of other places will struggle mightily with this. John Hagan moving to the back of the field. You saw him on the apron there. He's going to have to let the entire field go by for that emergency service. Him, Cole Slider, and Zach Meredith will also at the back of the field, as well as Alfred Denny, who got the free pass.
Yes, which should, if I'm not mistaken, hand the lead back to Matthew Boone, or actually to Connor Morris hang on to the lead. So I guess those cars that pit early came back in, Height and the Arrowhead cars came back in to top off again. So that is what must have happened there. Of course, that was the first round of pit stops, some of them under green, most of them under caution. As we worked our way through there. Again, another look at what we're looking at here. This stage is going to be a little bit longer. There will be a green flag pit stop for everybody. Nobody can make it go 40 laps on fuel. So that's probably the only stage, barring a caution midway in the stage, that we're going to see like some topsy-turvy fuel strategy. Oh, Connor Morse looking like maybe thinking about pitting again.
Trying to take out.
Yeah. But yeah, 12-gallon fuel cells, which I believe is larger actually than last year, even though it feels smaller. It always feels smaller as a driver, though.
Absolutely, it always feels smaller. 65% fuel tank size compared to the full capacity of a Gen 7 fuel tank.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes the car a little bit lighter at the back of the car. So changes the way the cars handle at the start of a run when you have cold tires, especially what we're getting ready to come to here with us going green at the end of this lap to kick off stage 2. The cars feel a little bit different just overall.
Absolutely. We want to thank everybody for being here with us for the first stage of the HTL 300. It's been a fantastic event so far. I'm Kristina Ryan, Carmen Sienna alongside me, bringing you what is probably the most important day in both HTL and ABN's history, at least in a long time. And so far, it's been off to a monumental start. We've saw some great racing, some great strategy plays, and a little bit of teamwork to get these drivers up to the front. Lady Liberty will take them down alongside former champion Matthew Boone in that 28 machine. And before we get ready to go back green, Carmen, how about a little bit of trivia?
Hit me with it.
Who are the top 2 leading drivers in Daytona 500 wins? Bonus points if you know how many wins they have each. But any guesses?
I know one of them. I know one of them is Richard Petty because he's got the most of 7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's got more. I know Gordon's got to be up there. Oh.
We'll come back to that in a little bit. Everybody in chat, feel free to play along. We'll revisit that, but just feed on that for now. No Googling, unless you're a square and you like to cheat. The top 2 leading drivers in Daytona 500 wins. First one's probably easy. The second one, a bit trickier. We'll revisit that in a moment because more exciting things are at hand now. Fun little fact as we go back to green, no driver in HTL has ever won multiple Daytona 300s. That could change today. Green flag back in the air for stage number 2.
"36 laps, the number that drivers need to hit."
Big shout out to Blake Henderson for putting together this camera pack, as he typically has done for us here on HTL. He's done a brilliant job at that, and he's doing not too bad in the race either. Oh, caution's out.
Caution is out. We're not sure who for.
Might have been for Poznanski in the 12. I don't see too much damage to that car, at least from first glance, but I think he may have gone for a loop in the number 12 machine. There looks like there might be a little bit of toe damage on that left front, but the first real accident of the day, the number 12 of Scott Poznanski. See if he had any help there, of course. Best finish of 3rd, was running up front earlier. Yeah, there's a little bit of damage on that right front. I wonder if somebody came across his nose, Carmen, or he found that inside wall. Let's take a look and see what we can see here. Oh, I think this might start. Yeah, this might. I think already you can kind of see right where John Hagen is. That car looks a bit out of shape in the middle. Let's play this here and see. It might be a bit. Oh yeah, he's out of shape there. Comes down, tags Poznanski, who comes up and clobbers. Who is that? Is that Wright?
That's the 05 of James Wright, yeah.
Peltier Sharp does a nice job getting out of the way, as does the 6 of Tommy Withers. There's the 31 that sneaks through there as well. That's
That's Kevin Gibney Jr. 31. Chris Pendell, that's 94.
Brilliant job of avoidance by everybody involved there, actually. Really, really good driving.
Could have been a lot worse there. And luckily, it doesn't seem like any of that damage is severe enough to require a fast repair just yet.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, but I don't think it's going to be terminal for that machine. And we're looking right here at these 2 cars in the middle. That's the ones you're going to watch here. I think it looks to me like Hagen just gets loose. It's tucked right up behind that 05 car. They go up to the outside lane. Looks like Wright maybe was thinking about passing that 96 machine. And it looks to me like Hagen's out of the gas here. They're all just trying to take it easy and leave each other room. And does he? It looks like Hagen might just, he just drops it. It's the lightest part of the racetrack. We talked about that at the top of the show, Carmen. And watch everybody behind. Look at this brilliant bit of driving from all 4 of these drivers. All 5 of them, rather. A little bit of contact in the back with the 94 and Kevin Gibney, but no harm, no foul there. Great avoidance by Tommy Withers. Good job by Hagen to keep it pointed in the right direction, at least. And good job by Poznanski to lock it down and not make things worse than they needed to be. We'll have another look at that in the moment. But for right now, it looks like more cars on pit road. Arnold, Meredith, Withers, and a whole bunch more. And why not, if you're in the back like that already? Of course, Wright's going to have to change or fix some damage, as will a few others. So we'll get that in. We'll take one more look at it here. We'll go real time, and we'll ride on board. And we'll just listen along here with Scott Poznanski, see if we can hear what happens to this, or actually we'll ride with the 64, John Hagen, because he's the one who loses it here. We'll see if we can listen in and hear what happens to that Jacob Schenkel racing machine. Oh, I don't think he got loose. I think he just tried to go for the middle, and then the air kind of carried the car away from him. And it happens that fast, Carmen. One little mistake and, you know.
You'd have to wonder, because like we talk about so much about the air of this car, of this generation of stock car, the 7th gen, going obviously in the lightest part of the racetrack where the unload is just so severe and so sharp. I wonder if him trying to go through it put air on the back of that car that he didn't intend or didn't think about, and it pulled that car around, because it's very easy, and this car is very susceptible to that, even from a little bit of distance. ways of finessing that side draft around to make it work. I wonder if Hagan just got a little bit too close to the cars to his left, and it just pulled that car straight around. And obviously you saw he got loose and overcorrected there. Like, I wonder if he had just got a little bit too close where the air disturbed him on the worst possible moment of the racetrack. And if that's the case already, what's it going to be like when we get into this? When you don't have any choice but to be side by side.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it, but also look at the wind speed here. It is breaching double digits, so it is quite windy as well. Trying to see a flag on the track to see where the direction is blowing, but it doesn't really matter if it's 10 miles an hour. That's now. Yeah, so it's pretty aggressive wind, which could have played a factor. It's more of a, it's always one of those deals, Carmen, where it's like parts of a whole, right? It's 20% this, 20% that, 20% this, and then a car is backwards. That's usually how it works. It's one of those perfect scenarios for chaos, and I think that's what must have happened there. It's unfortunate that we have those cars beat up, but of course everybody was heads up about it, and everybody's still rolling at least, and we still have all 36 cars rolling as it stands, and I believe only a handful of cars a lap down.
Yeah, some drivers are obviously going a lap down here a little bit, and you talk about due south. What does due south mean? That is going across the track, across the front straightaway. So would not have helped Hagan at all. And we talk about how sensitive these cars are. Wind definitely could have helped with that. If he was trying to unload here just a little bit, that applies a lot more pressure to the right side of that car. And obviously, when you take air off the left side, all that pressure goes one side, and around you go.
So while we have the quick moment, it's fresh in our memories, we'll do a quick revisit for our trivia question. Who are the top 2 leading drivers in Daytona 500 wins? Carmen, you were right with one of them. The easier one was Richard Petty, but Cale Yarborough has 4. And fun fact, 4 different drivers have 3 apiece. So, very elite group to get more than a hat trick at Daytona. Everybody here is running solos, at least for now. Pace car is going to be off. We'll get our second restart of the night. We'll see if they can get it done here. Still 36 cars running. 32 on the lead lap. DJ Anderson, Jeremy Breo, Gary Donaldson, and Lily Peltier Sharp a lap down. Green flag back in the air. Stuff like that makes me glad I'm up in the booth here. 3 wide as the Ascent driver is going to try and push the envelope a little bit. Eli Sasek and the 10. Oh, that's going to get tight there with Lilac Zier. I'll tell you what, Selena Thompson is energized and on a roll working with her teammate in the middle, but it nearly ended in tears.
Yeah, obviously in the middle of stage 2, everyone took it easy in stage 1. Now the jitters are out. Now people feel like superheroes, and everyone's got to kind of keep their P's and Q's put together. Zier gets clear of Thompson there on the outside lane.
And cleverly, she falls back in line with her teammate. That was the smart move. That's one of those things that shows the maturity of Selena Thompson. As we see the 2 car there do a little wiggle down the back straightaway of Ryan Pinelli. Does a nice job to hang on to that high noon Ford Mustang, and goodness gracious, Scott Poznansky must be seeing stars because that happened right in front of him after just getting involved in that last crash. And look at this, Josh Gaiman goes to the lead in the 61 machine with help from Matthew Boone. That took a bit longer than I thought. We think we see Gaiman up there, but we always see Josh Gaiman come up to the front of the field at some point. And there he is for Stepping Stone Motorsports, the Pennsylvania native, trying to make a 4th career win in HTL. He's a man who stands up when his back's against the wall and he really needs to make things happen. Tonight could be his night. More shuffling in the back.
Keep an eye on Matthew Boone, 28 as well. Had a big championship hangover last season, but disappointed to not get back to victory lane after winning the championship in season 2. He's sitting second ahead of the debutant and Jared Merchant in the 33 for 1MA Racing.
Hey, here's another thing to keep an eye on here, Carmen. Look at that onboard. Look at that sun as it continues to set behind the grandstands. Yeah, it used to be even worse before Daytona Rising. Of course, now the grandstand's so much larger. How about Jared Merchant getting a run in the number 33 machine? He's going to try to go to the lead of the Daytona 300.
2 cars for 1MA Racing. Merchant, the charter car. Bren Roberts won his duel last Monday. He's in there on the outside lane as well, trying to get support in the 84 machine.
And Blake
then there's the
Galloway,
51.
who we saw.
Yeah, Blake Galloway.
He was so racy in his heat, ended up getting caught up in the big one. Oh my goodness, this is great to see these teams that are a bit smaller go up and fight with the big dogs. It's great to see. It's great to have Merchant up front after his miserable duel.
Yeah.
Now he is
phenomenal so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Officially now credited with leading a lap in the Daytona 300. And Galloway still stuck with him. He said, as you said, Brent Roberts, dual winner. There's pole sitter Caitlin Height just behind him. And then Connor Morris, one of the up-and-coming talents, in front of him.
Good company in the top 10.
Yeah. And just behind him is his teammate who he pushed to a stage win, who is also great company because he's the one who used to hang out penalties, but he's in the wall.
Cars in the wall.
Couple into the wall. Are they going to save it? They're going to keep it going in the right direction, but several cars scatter. Will they all keep it in one piece? No caution yet.
Ooh, that was close. That could have been so much worse. iRacing caution's in effect. There's no live race control.
Yeah.
And
Kyle,
that's going to help out a lot there because no one spun. So they're going to keep it green.
And that's great, by the way, that everybody kept it in the right direction. But look at Kyle Taub. He's got some significant damage to the front of that car. Lilac Zier is wounded. Sosi is wounded. Meredith went off the track and back on, as did Selena Thompson. But I think they did that in avoidance. They were making avoiding action. We'll go side by side here. Carmen will keep an eye on the action that's live right now. We'll have a look back and see what we can see of what happened down the backstretch. So live pictures on the bottom of your screen. And at the top, let's see what happens. You can see right there at the top, it starts with Lilac Zier giving a bad push to Sosi, I think is what's going to trigger this off. Oh, and then Zier comes back down, clobbers Moutre, gets hit. But it was,
Tao got right into it.
Yeah. Running into the back of her. Yeah. It was just one of those situations. Once again though, is frustrating as that is, top-notch job by the field to not make that a huge mess, because it really could have and probably should have been a massive crash. Take another look at it here. So we'll play it in slow motion. So watch there. There's the contact. You see that white and blue car on the top of the 81 of Sosi. And then as Zier comes back down,
Moutre got a piece of it.
Moutre got a big piece of it. And look at everybody scatter. Kyle Taub just chose the wrong lane. Oh, and Meredith gets a big piece of that too. Yeah,
so that's 2 of the NFG Motorsports cars involved in that in a big way.
The fact that was it, though, for that to happen right in the 3rd or 4th row, and everybody did a nice job. Yeah, and Selena Thompson too had a landscaping service down there and did a nice job to not come flying up the track. Same with everybody else down there. It's one thing to not wipe out the field, right? But it's another thing to come back up on the track flying 100 miles an hour through the grass and not wipe everybody out in turn 3. Good heads-up driving. It's unfortunate that probably should have been a caution, but iRacing cautions, at least it's consistently bad, right?
Predictable. You can see why it wasn't.
Yeah, nobody went around, nobody stopped. You can see why. I think if it was a live admin situation, that would have been a yellow, but on the other hand, then we just rack them up and wreck even worse. So it's unfortunate for Taub and Meredith and Zier, but great job. They're still in the race. They all have their fast repairs. There's Peltier Sharp, who was off the track for about 7 laps. And she now makes her way back onto the circuit. Several laps down, she runs in last place. Out here to be collecting points at this point now.
Yeah,
not sure what happened to her. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
I believe it's a technical fault for her. I don't believe it's a...
Yeah, it didn't look like a latency dropout either. I think she's been having issues with... She's not having issues with her monitor. She's having issues with VR. She's not having issues with that. Her wheels falling apart. She's a misfortunate girl.
A lot of technical failures. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's a little bit of balance. Had a phenomenal race last night in Milwaukee. Flew down here. Had a bad race in the duels. Got turned a couple times there. Last Monday and tonight, not even involved in any incidents per se, just more technical failures on the behalf of that 8 car. Very unfortunate because that team, Lady Liberty Motorsports, needing a good night tonight, won the first stage, but in trouble early on stage 2. Sosi at the very tail end of this lead pack. Same with Connor Morris. But Gibney, I don't think, is in this pack either.
Yeah, it's interesting that Sosi stays in the pack after getting turned into the wall there.
Yeah, that's surprising to me.
Well, you know what it was, though? He kept his foot pegged, and he wasn't the one that... Oh, you see Roberts bounce off the wall there out of turn number 4. He wasn't the one who came flying across the track. That was Zier, and it was just a bad bump from Zier. It wasn't intentional, obviously. It wasn't anything... It was just a misjudgment. And you hit somebody in the wrong spot in these cars, especially with the way the wind's acting right now, you're going to turn them. You have to hit them in a certain spot. You have to get them in the right spot. And Zier did not get Sosi in the right spot. Sosi bounces off the wall, and he was close enough to the wall anyway that it really isn't going to hurt him too terrible much. So it was Zier that got the brunt of that impact. So I guess you could say instant karma in that sense, but obviously she didn't mean to do that either. So just an unfortunate circumstance. But Sosi keeps rolling, and Josh Gaiman out front and on the point right now. Here's Zach Apperson. Haven't talked about him much either since the start of the show. He's up in 3rd right now. But shout out to Matthew Boone. Has been up front since he got to the front and has gained 22 positions. The only driver who's gained more is Connor Morris. He's up 27, and Tommy Reynolds has also gained 22 himself. So they're even on that one. Biggest loser looks to be like a tie between John Hagan and Nathan Estep, who are down 23 spots apiece. 46 laps into this race. We're nearing the halfway point already, Carmen. Can you believe that?
As I mentioned up here in the booth, it's not going to feel like it's been that long. For the drivers, it'll feel like it's been double time.
Yeah. And while they run single file now, start to watch things sort out a little bit as they get near the next round of pit stops. We talk about a lot of things here, Carmen. We talk about side draft. We talk about the tandem draft. What does that all mean? Well, as we see it here, we're going to take a look at it. This is what draft is on the right-hand side of your screen. That green blob is clean air. That red blob is dirty air. This is a car by itself, but when that second car comes up, it takes both drag off the back of the lead car and takes drag off of the front of the following car. That orange circle, though, represents a bubble. It goes faster when you're nose to tail like that, but tandeming is the fastest way. The lead driver drags the brakes a little bit, or that second car gets another car behind them. It allows to pierce that air bubble. It's like a spring. But once you get wood to wood there and start physically pushing, that is where the most speed is gained, Carmen. But you and I both know this as well as anybody else. It takes finesse, and it's very, very risky. It's all about risk and reward here. The lead car struggles to control it because they've got a car up their back diffuser, temperature skyrocket on the following car, and the following car can't see, and the lead car can't lift, but it's fastest, and that's what matters to these drivers, especially at the ends of these races. You can also see here, the way that you push the car is important as well, but there's another critical part that's a bit new to iRacing. It's side draft. First things first, when you're tandeming, you're going to need to coordinate swaps if you're trying to work with the same driver. The quicker that you can swap out and get that following car out to the front to cool off the car, the better, and then it makes you even faster. But here comes the side draft. This is a bit of a new thing. The air bubbles that these cars formulate, you can see that red zone. It actually pulls back the car that you're side drafting. It doesn't make you faster. It slows down the other car. But the critical element about this is you have to side draft and then get away, because otherwise you'll side draft yourself. Watch here as the ABN car comes back, side drafts the HTL car back. And if you don't pull away from one another, you'll get lockstepped in that forever, and that's what this looks like, and then you'll just be slowing each other all down, which is why when we see these single car breakaways, they're single file, and everybody's 2 and 3 wide behind them, they're all side drafting each other. It's actually slower in the next gen cars, unlike the draft model and other iRacing cars. They're a bit less realistic. They are not... they don't have side draft. It's actually faster to run side by side. These cars, not the case. We're going to be seeing that all night long, and I guarantee you, Carmen, that's going to determine who wins the race tonight.
Absolutely. It usually is how this goes. Again, a shout out again to Chrissy there for being part of that demonstration, as well as Emily Howell of Prismatic Motorsports and E83 Flying Machines for being part of that demonstration. We did that, I think, a couple weeks ago with the shootout. Just after the shootout, we did that. Shout out to obviously both you and Emily for being a part of that phenomenal demonstration. And we'll see that again throughout the season. We're going to be at Atlanta, we're going to be at Talladega, and it's going to be very prominent at those tracks as well.
Absolutely. Had a couple cars jump into pit lane while we were doing that. Blake Galloway, Brian Roberts, Jared Merchant. There they are on your screen there. This is a scheduled stop. It is a strategy call to pit now.
Here comes the leaders.
And now the leaders are coming in. So this has opened the window. And there you see a big gaggle of them. Look at how nicely they all actually came into pit lane there. This is the other thing, though. Now you got to find your box. Got to be careful not to run each other over and step on each other's toes.
We may have to go side by side here because there's now 3 different packs here. There's a lead group of 2 cars right now because it's Connor Morris and Josh Sosi. Teammates are for Lady Liberty Motorsports. They are on their own by over 3 seconds. You have to go all the way back to Hunter Peach. And I'll pivot there on one of the cameras there.
Yeah.
I believe it's the one on the right-hand side. That's the second group that stayed out. Everyone pitting in smaller groups. Everyone learned from last season. Pitting in a large group does not help you. You lose time having to check up for everybody else. The smaller the group, the faster the pit lane time.
And that's something that got a lot of people confused when Caitlin Height pit all by herself in her duel and ended up coming out with such a big lead because she didn't have to work around everybody else. That's the other thing, Carmen, about this is pitting is so difficult. These drivers, this is an example here on the right-hand side again, you can't step over each other's toes like that. You'll run each other over, you'll start locking up, you'll come flying in, and you're very likely to miss the pit lane speed limit or the pits altogether. You want to spread out like what we just saw those leaders do. It gives you a great opportunity to get each other slowed down, come in one big coherent group. But the other thing is what we just saw, drivers side by side. Your pit box might be in front of the car that's on your inside. The cars are solid, Carmen. You have to wait and react to those around you to not cause a collision, because imagine having 119 of the best laps in the world and then you lose the race because you bounced into somebody on pit road.
Yeah, it can be obviously a cataclysmic event on pit lane. Pit lane's so important, just as important as anything going on the track here as we see cars coming in and out of pit lane. Leaders on the left-hand side of your screen. Drivers coming out of pit lane on the right-hand side of your screen. We're looking at Hunter Peach, center of the screen on the right. Left-hand side, I believe, is James Wright and Zach Meredith.
Yeah, it's E-Step Wright, Meredith, Taub, and Zier. All those cars that fell off the pack a little bit, now leading this race. It's actually a bunch of lappers up there with E-Step and Wright right now. That is DJ Anderson and Pelletier Sharp and Gary Donaldson, who are off the pace. Donaldson is 1 lap down. Anderson's 1 lap down. Lily Pelletier Sharp is about 7 or 8 laps down now, maybe 9 laps down. So this is actually beneficial to those drivers because it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship. The lap cars don't fall any further off the pace, and the cars that are staying out get a little bit of extra draft to try and, stay out. Maybe play a strategy play, make something happen here, or hopefully get a caution and put themselves back into track position. So lots and lots of things going on here. And of course, as we near that halfway point, it's only going to get more intense because the stage is coming shortly thereafter.
Absolutely. And obviously we're seeing as this all changes here, all of it's fluid with 12 laps to go in stage 2. Everyone's spread out a little bit. Caution is not impossible, but now a lot less likely as now drivers have to focus on being these cohesive single car lines. We mentioned that in that demonstration that we saw there of the side drafting. How important is it to have these single car lines? Right now, especially if you're outside the top 10, it's pivotal.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to miss that opportunity to gain. This is where you gain the most in a green flag pit stop, is in between these stops, as now we see the leaders and everybody but Pelletier Sharp come into the pit lane in this group. A little bit of lockup here and there. That's okay. As long as you don't lock up too hard, it's not a big deal. Now this is going to cycle out to Meredith, Taub, Zier, and Gaiman, and then just ahead of that group that you're seeing on the right-hand side, that's what we see on the left. So these are the 2 lead groups now as they inherit the lead, and I believe, at least in the case of, I think, does this left-hand group still has to make a pit stop, if I'm not mistaken, but the right-hand group has pit.
Meredith, Taub, and Zier, Meredith pit on lap 32, Taub and Zier pit on lap 27.
So it's a mixture then.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture. Those are the tail end of that lead group. You're looking at Josh Gaiman and Tommy Reynolds. They are good to go to the end of the stage. The likes of Meredith, Taub, and Zier, I don't believe are, at least not on my screen.
Shuffle around the side-by-side, do a bit of a top and bottom here. As you see, Connor Morris nearly got turned there on Chad Slotsworth's hand. That's why it's so important not to get on that right-hand side. And now here come those other drivers that needed to pit.
Yeah.
This will give Gaiman and Reynolds a bit of breathing space, but it's not too long now until the field catches up. And I believe that's also Salita Thompson, who is 1 lap down in that group as well in the Ascent number 10 machine after she had to take avoiding action for that crash that involved Zier and Meredith.
I would not be surprised there. Obviously, everyone trying to get through the end of this race here. I believe only 31 cars on the lead lap. Only 31 cars on the lead lap at the halfway point. Only 31 cars, right?
Yeah.
That's impressive on its own. We've only had 2 cautions. One was a stage caution. Last caution was on lap 31 for an incident involving Scott Poznansky, James Wright, and John Hagan.
So this is what it looks like it'll be to the stage. This is kind of the players we have for this round now, which is interesting to see it get so spread out, and a couple of the drivers we thought would be right up in the thick of it, not quite up there right now. Wondering if they got some extra things under the sleeve. They're gonna have to be pulling it soon, Carmen, because 65 is when the caution will come out for the stage. It's a 40-lap stage, so those numbers you see are not the laps that the cautions come out, rather, but the amount of laps in the stage. So we've got about 8 laps to go or so. So this is pretty much your players if they can make it to the end on fuel. Of course, that 96 machine, Tommy Reynolds on fill-in, up 30 positions currently. And you can see it actually looks like that lead group with Henderson broke away a little bit from the rest of that group. I believe that's Henderson, that's Sasek, Boone, and Apperson, who will now catch the leaders and try and make a bid for the lead. They have enough momentum. They should be able to do this pretty easily. And that means we should see Blake Henderson take the lead for the first time tonight in the number 25 machine. Oh, Game is going to move up the block. Henderson having none of it, gets turned to the inside all by himself. He's not going to hit anything. He's going to slide into the bus stop. No yellow, no damage. Is he going to get it going in time, though? He's not going to be happy about that at all.
He's going to lose out so much on that. I was thinking he was near the front of the field, and just to lose all that and to now be in danger of going a lap down before the stage ends is disastrous.
He should stay on the lead lap with the amount of laps remaining. The pack is big, but I don't think it's big enough for him to get swallowed up yet. But he's going to be livid. He's absolutely going to be saying, why on earth did I just get blocked on lap 59 that hard? And it's kind of like what we saw with Zier in the shootout. It's just blocking unblockable runs like that is going to cause crashes.
Yeah, that could have gone a lot worse. And luckily, unfortunate for Henderson, but luckily for everyone else, Henderson could have easily just kept his foot in it and stayed the course. And that could have been a lot uglier.
But we know he's not like that. He's a very, very good driver. Of course, he won his duel last year after saying that this track hates him. He loves this track, but it doesn't love him. I think it's back to business as usual for him. Of course, I hate to bring it up, but the robot did pick Blake Henderson to win this race, which is a stark possibility, but unfortunately for him, he's going to have to do it through some adversity in the second half. Not the way he wanted to start this one out.
Going to 5 to go in stage 2. It's Gaiman and Reynolds at the front of the field. I've seen this a lot before. Is it Sunday or Monday? I can't tell.
It's a Sunday, October Monday, I think.
Yeah, something like that. These two at the front of the field, very familiar for those that watch the ARC Safer Cup Series on Sundays. Both of them both of them race winners in championship contention over there in ARCs, and now showing exactly why they are here in HTL.
Peltier Sharp goes another lap down as the leaders negotiate her. They're catching up also to put down season champion Zach Meredith. And these cars are all still, well, minus Peltier Sharp, but the car behind as well of Kyle Tapp, they're still suffering from that non-caution crash with Lilac Zier, who I believe is also in this group. Yeah, she's right there, right behind everybody. So misery loves company, Carmen. And look
27
at that
cars
sun.
on lead lap, and now it's a little bit of a battle between teammates to try to be the first car one lap down for that free pass.
Riding on board with Tommy Reynolds as it stands. Let's ride with the helmet cam here, Carmen. Let's see how bad that sunlight really is. You'd think, well, it's not that blinding because it's a video game, but the way that the graphics are and the way that iRacing approaches realism, no, it's very much a nuisance. It's very annoying. And watch this lens flare when they unload out of turn 4. It's a day-to-night race, so the fireworks will be up by the end of this event. However, Watch here. Just, first of all, can't see much out the front anyway. We talked about that, about how hard it is for a following car to see. Watch this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is. It's luckily for us, we're up in the booth, up at the top of the grandstand there. Yeah, we've got a little bit of advantage because the sun's behind us. It's not behind them all the way around this track. Coming out of turn 4 is a nightmare at this time of the race. It will be for a little bit longer until the sun eventually sets behind the press box in the upper grandstands here at Daytona. But drivers have to deal with that, and if you've got HDR, good luck.
Yeah, it looks pretty, but
oh yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty painful.
Oh yeah, but again, Daytona Rising, that's one of the big things that helps with Daytona Rising. The restructuring that they did to the grandstands here in 2014 is when it completed anyways. You can see here one of the cameras up on Daytona Rising, so much taller than it used to be pre-repave. And that does have a big effect. It blocks the sun a lot more effectively. These drivers used to have issues seeing the sunlight all the way down into, I don't know, 8 p.m. average time.
Yeah.
And it used to be such a big problem. Not so much now. It still is a nuisance, but as soon as that thing gets behind the press box, every single driver is glad the big corporate money put down millions upon millions to put some more steel up there.
Well, you also think about, like, obviously, it's rough right now. The Firecracker 200 started at this time of day. Mm-hmm. And that's in the longest time of the year. So it's even more excruciating there because the start of the race, when you have everyone together, is when it's the hardest. So everyone having a chance to sort of take a deep breath. Obviously, it sucks right now, but there's small enough groups right now that you can get through this stanza coming to the white flag in stage number 2. But everyone will be grateful when the lights come on.
Oh, absolutely. And the fans, too. It's a very hot summer day at Daytona International. Look here.
Days of summer.
Keep an eye on this group behind Matthew Boone. He is a smart cookie. Oh, caution's out. They crashed.
Caution's out early.
It's Joel Rodriguez, and now we got a handful of cars in the wall. That is...
Pendel, Moutre, Galloway involved. He was backwards.
Yep, as is the 88 machine of Jeremy Breo. Arnold is in it as well in the 55. I think he might have crashed in sympathy there.
I think he was trying to lock up there. You can see the smoke a little bit further back. I'm not sure if that was from Galloway spinning down to the apron or if it was from Arnold locking up the brakes and spinning.
Well, the crash, the smoke down the backstretch earlier was Peltier Sharp, who lost it all on her own. Oh, Galloway has jumped to the pit lane, so he is going to be in quite a bit of bother. Josh Gaiman, however, as that happens, I was going to say Boone's going to be punching the steering wheel because he had a heck of a run generated, but Josh Gaiman will win stage number 2. The 33-year-old, who has led most of that second stage, to be fair. He did a very nice job holding on to that lead. Tommy Reynolds in second in the fill-in, the super sub, and Eli Sasick third. Boone, Apperson, Roberts, Jared Merchant, Alfred Denny, Scott Poznanski, and Shad Swatsworth. The remainder of the top 10 there. Let's see if we can't have a look and see what brought out only the third caution of the day. And, of course, this will be the stage caution as well. It's going to start back around where... Oh, it's already started here. Oh, is it again? It's Poznanski. And this time...
Oh, he got help from... Is that
That's height, yeah. And they were in a big pack here. Let's see if we can get a better shot. Let's see if we can go to the chopper cam here. Yeah, right there is where you're going to want to be looking.
Oh, it checks up in front of them. You see...
Yeah.
A little bit of a weave there on the outside lane. It's Alfred Denny.
And it was just a bad push because they all got stacked up like that. There wasn't time to react. And now, well, they bounce off of each other here. Poznanski saves it. Oh, Galloway loses it after the contact, comes back. Oh, that's the worst case scenario. Tags the 99 machine. Big hit.
Hard impact for Ryan Pinnell. We didn't see him in it.
Moutre shot the gap there. He's going to get involved up here, but he could have had terminal damage. As the seas kind of parted for him.
That's actually the most fortunate because he went to the wall on his own, so he controlled that skid.
Yeah, he's
that works out pretty well for him.
Lucky boy. And I think here the 55, I think he just runs out of real estate. You'll see him pop in a frame. I don't see any damage on that car. I think he just runs out of real estate. And we talked about it here. I think, yeah. See he. Oh, Oh, that's what we talked about.
He was trying to get going.
Yeah, that's what we talked about when I was doing the hot laps. These cars, when they go so slow, they'll literally slide off the banking. They need that speed. He goosed it up, and then it's just gravity. It said, no, thank you. I can't do that, and the car dumped. So no damage, just a little bit of an embarrassing moment there, but take a look at his here and watch this 51. Good job by Poznanski to hold on to it, but you can already see right there. Look at that right rear tire. It's down. It's broken. So that's what happened to the 51. He had no chance to save it. That's not just driver error. He had broken the right rear when he got hit. Yeah. So that was a significant impact. There you see Breo in it. That's the 99 machine up into the wall as well. That was Joel Rodriguez. It's the 94 into it as well. Moutre, very lucky boy. Yeah, two-car got a pretty big shot, too. I bet Pinell's probably pretty beat up. He hit that 51 car very hard. Now, I just want to emphasize this here. Watch again and focus on right there on that 51 machine. Look, right there. You could see where it breaks.
Oh, my goodness.
It is completely separated.
Completely severed, yeah.
And if you've not driven these cars, you have no understanding how uncontrollable that is from the rear of the car. He could do everything he wants to do, but when the wheel is that bent, and look at how it's going to flop around when he comes back up. It's not just bent, it's completely busted off the tie rod. So he never had a chance. And unfortunately for everybody back here, they never had a chance either. Oh my goodness, Moutre, we're going to have to go on board with him. That was an incredible... I mean, of course, he's still involved in the wreck, but that is insane to see him split the seas like this. Hang on tight, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to get exciting.
That is so quick.
Yeah, and he'll be fine. That's not too bad. I like how he strategically kept it in the wall so that it, A, wouldn't slide down the track, and B, that's heads up. That's the Ryan Moutre that we see from time to time, where he just pulls out some of the smartest moves we've seen. And I think it's that kind of thing that keeps him a player as a dark horse, whereas a lot of drivers would have... I mean, it doesn't get much closer than this. Oh my gosh. I think a little bit of contact due to netcode there, but that should have been a terminal hit for sure. See, Sosi misses one there on the inside. Very light contact, all things considered, for Moutre, and that will be our third caution of the day. And to be frank, that's not bad. We are halfway through the event.
The over-under was 9, and we had 3 cautions, and 2 of them were technically stage breaks, including this one, which ended up being a stage break because it was on the last lap of the stage. The over-under on cautions that we had a poll on at the beginning was 9. So overall, doing very good. Beginning of stage 3, we're going to do a poll. We had our selected race winners. I picked my race winner. Chrissy picked hers. Both of them still in play, as well as the AI race winner of Blake Henderson. ABN Analytics
who gets bailed out by this, by the way.
Yes, 100% got bailed out by this. There'll be a poll. Our 3 picks, as well as other, if you feel like someone else is going to win, will be available for you in our live chat here on ABN Esports.
Well, here we go. Let's rile them up and get going again. As if it wasn't exciting enough. Green flag back in the air.
Up 1.5 back. Just push. Low bit up front.
Clear. You're clear. Both
Half
pushing it
up.
up. Not yet.
Quarter out.
Not clear. 17 clear.
Stay right now. Go hard here. Go all in front of you.
The 4 Fords line up in front of you.
Going hard bottom. Don't get yourself
Mid is
turned here.
scattered.
There you go. Get yourself ready. Coming hard
Pushing
bottom.
you.
Hard bottom.
Pushing you by 1. Come on. 3/4. That helps. Give it up. 2. Give it up.
Lane on here. Lane on outside. 3 mid.
Eli Sasek leads the Daytona 300 from Josh Gaiman and Tommy Reynolds. It was a brilliant restart from Sasek in the ascent number 9. And as the sun continues to set, the track's going to cool off, the wind's going to pick up. And thank goodness we are approaching week 13 and not at it, because I'd be afraid we'd have a little bit of weather in the area right about this time of the day. And look at that move. by Tommy Reynolds to go to the top. He may be a super sub, but he wants to be a leader. And he's going to take that 96 to the top of the racetrack with a big push from Boone. And now from Katie Height, who now has help finally for the first time tonight from her teammate Swansworth. They finally found each other, Carmen.
Yeah, wild stuff here in the early goings of stage 3. Now all the points on the line.
Yeah, it is no more stages. This is the race to basically put yourself in history books. And look at that sun as it beats down on the rest of the racetrack. But you can tell the shadows growing longer, the lights about to flick on in the background. It is about to become one of those classic Daytona sunset races. HTL knows how to put on a show, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to get a little more intense. Still a green flag pit stop if things stay as they have been. We've seen green flag pit stops so far already.
Probably a couple, actually.
Yeah, well,
it'd be close.
Maybe. Yeah, it'll be close.
If the average is about 22 to 27, it's going to be pretty tight. They're going to have to do 2, I think.
Would not be a surprise.
I'll tell you what, Carmen, while we have the opportunity, because things are only going to get more intense from here, I'm sure. It looks like they're trying to sort themselves out before that. What do you say we do the first official points race, crank it up of the year as Reynolds and Height lead at the front? Or so we thought. Caution is out. Lily Pelletier Sharp and another have gone spinning into the entry of the tri-oval. You might have seen that there in your screen. It doesn't look like a serious crash, but it has brought out our 4th yellow of the day. I think it was Kyle Taub that was involved in that one. This angle's not going to show us too much. Oh, how did Pelletier Sharp go around? Because that's happened in front of her now. That's Kyle Taub and E-Step getting together. Oh, there's been much more to this. So let's try and piece together what we can. Looks like Anderson may have had a piece in that or been around it, because it looks like he goes through the pit lane in reaction here. Let's see what happens. Oh, it was Selena Thompson gets turned. Everybody here
gets
trying
turned
to
right up the racetrack, and Kyle Taub got a piece of it there too.
That was
from
Thompson.
E-Step.
Yeah, it was Thompson coming back down too. That's how Sharp got into it. And Taub was. They all kind of started bouncing off each other, but it was Selena Thompson who finally tested her luck a little too hard and gets sent into the outside retaining wall. Not too terribly much damage on that car, but it's not ideal. And I'll tell you, Carmen, she was tempting fate a little bit. Especially earlier on in stage number 2. She's trying to find that limit. She had a really good run at the duel, had a lot of energy, has a really fast race car. Ascent looks super strong this year, at least on the plate packages. You can see right here, big run from Jeremy Breo in the middle. I'm going to guarantee you she probably tries to follow that run, which she does, which is fair enough, but I'm wondering if she unloads off the corner here. And
I wonder if maybe Millsap unloads off the corner too.
It could be, could be.
We'll see here as we go slow motion. Withers moves up the racetrack, and that might spook her a little bit.
Well, it's all clean here, clean here. I think it looks like she came up a touch, and then Millsap comes down a little bit. I think that might have been a situation where the air kind of grabs them. And then you'll watch here.
About that side draft, and we saw in that side draft video how much that the cars kind of bounce around each other.
Absolutely, and look at everybody. Donaldson sneaks through. Moutre misses one. Taub. So here's what happened. Taub's missing this, and then gets into E-Step. And then as Thompson's probably pretty wounded, Pelletier Sharp was trying not to run over her teammate Sosi, checks up into the back of the 10. So a little bit of bumper cars. We'll have another look at it in a moment. Currently, pit lane is a busier place right now. And this is pretty pivotal for these drivers because they can definitely make it on at least 2 stops now. I think they might be able to push it to 1 more pit stop. But yeah, they can. They can probably make it on 1 stop from here if they pit. So Several drivers, Poznanski, Estep, Thompson, a lot of them repairing damage as well, but Meredith, Denny, Moutre, Henderson.
Hate to be the bearer of news, but look at the front of this field. Guess who?
It's Katie Height, Shad Swatsworth, Tommy Reynolds. It is an Arrowhead trio at the front of this pack.
I know I'm not supposed to make this joke, but can we please stop the count like right now? That would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, I wonder why you would say that. As the girl who didn't even pick her own car to win this race.
You know, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got a lot of Eddies riding on this, but absolutely no money. So
yeah.
I'll tell you
For
what.
those also, I'll kind of interject here, kind of give an update since we're under caution. For those wondering, we changed our channel points from Arrowheads to Eurodollars because Phantom Liberty, the Cyberpunk 2077
here's the
expansion
plug.
comes out later this month. We will be streaming that after an HTL race here September 26th.
Oh, that's gonna be on that. It's gonna be on the esports channel, eh?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was announced
gosh.
when we announced esports 2. We announced it.
Yeah, so Millsap, you can see Millsap unloads a little bit. I think that was one of those deals where Millsap unloads and gets loose, and Selena either was trying to move up the track or unloaded and got tight. That's a trouble corner at this track. And then everything that kind of unfolded afterward is basic. There's a car in the middle of the racetrack. Good luck. Kind of scenario there. It's unfortunate. You wonder how bad the damage is to those cars. Of course, Taub was already pretty wounded. You can see quite a bit of damage on that number 10 machine there, but Peltier Sharp, she was already out of contention, but now she's definitely going to be in big trouble there in the 8. I think she's out there to try and help her teammates, I think, and she chose to hit the 10 instead of dumping her teammate, so smart enough move on her part, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think they both, Thompson and Millsap, both had their quick repairs to use if they needed it. I don't know that Millsap will need it. Thompson definitely will. 32 cars still on the lead lap with a free pass, putting it back to 32. James Wright is the next car in line. He is 1 lap down. Gary Donaldson also 1 lap down. They'll be fighting over that free pass spot. Blake Galloway is 2 down, and Peltier Sharp is a long way back in the 8 after technical issues, but critically, all 36 cars are still rolling. And it's about to be go time, Carmen.
Absolutely. Going to be a fun one here. 4th caution of the night. Things getting serious. And now teamwork's going to be a little bit more important at the front of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Matthew Boone, they're Unforgiven. They're up there as well. Eli Sassa, Connor Morris, Josh Gaiman, Joel Rodriguez. A little bit of a hodgepodge. Everyone's going to try to figure that out quickly.
They're going to have to negotiate the Arrowhead drivers as they are 1, 2, 3, and the green flag is back out. We're back underway with a little under half of the race yet to go. See a lot of cars single file in the back. Several drivers came back in and topped off one more time for fuel concerns. Not at the forefront of the Toyotas at the front of the field right now, but you can see Matthew Boone does not want to settle down with that quite yet. Just gets prettier and prettier as the sun continues to set, the shadows continue to grow, and the tensions continue to rise. You're gonna see lower percentage moves and some more of that classic Daytona that's unavoidable no matter how you put him on this speedway. There's Kevin Gibney Jr. Haven't talked about him too much today other than missing a couple of crashes. 24-year-old Lady Liberty Motorsports driver. And that green and black car next to his teammate Connor Morse on that inside lane. Running quite nicely, been slowly, methodically working his way up in that 31 car. And currently now sits inside the top 5 right behind Eli Sasek. Thinks about moving up to get up there with his teammate Connor Morse. Thinks better of it and tucks back to that inside. Right behind him is Tommy Withers in the number 6 machine. We got all the driver spotlight drivers in there because right behind him is Blake Henderson, who's recovered after his spin. Got bailed out under that caution segment. We already saw, of course, Josh Gaiman, who's a little bit further back in that as well. So lots of high caliber on that inside lane right now, especially with Shad Swatsworth and Katie Height leading it. Tommy Reynolds, no slouch either. Kevin Gibney Jr. not content, though, to let the Toyotas dominate the latter half of this race, and Bren Roberts says thank you very much. We saw Bren Roberts be very good at pushing earlier today. Can he do it again?
The two different distinct packs quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you see that second pack a little bit further back. See if we can actually get a pivot camera on that. Not as many cars in this group, but most of it is NFG and coast to coast in this group as well. So a lot of stepping stone cars in this group as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the leaders on the top of your screen, and then that group that you're just talking about, Carmen, on the bottom. So they work their way on lap number 80. Single file for about 10 cars out front. Peltier Sharp, the last car in that lane, still seems to have some pace in that 8 car after trying to take care of mechanical gremlins, getting caught up in a couple of the last cautions, but the 8 car looking like it still has pace in it. But with 9 laps down, Carmen, and running out of laps, it's probably not going to happen for the 8 car tonight. Unfortunately, the French woman's going to have to wait another year.
Yeah, unfortunately, sitting 36. Now, all 36 cars still running in this race. No one has fallen out. We're at the 2/3 mark of this race now. So that's very impressive. Looking to see how many cars finish this race. The record for amount of finishers in a race in HTL came at this race back in December. Of the 36 cars that took the start, only 4 retirements. 32 finished.
And so far, as we just said, all 36 continue to run as it stands, but we've already known a couple cars have burned up those faster pairs. They only have 1 at their disposal. And as the night goes on, there's, as we mentioned, more low percentage moves. Granted, the field's done a great job this year so far, but it's just Daytona. It's Daytona at the end. People are going to be making moves that just don't work. And even smart drivers make moves. Drivers that we rarely see mistakes from will screw up tonight, and that's just the nature of Daytona. It brings out the best in you, and it brings out the worst in you. Sometimes it brings out the worst in you in the best time. But you've got to do that, Carmen. You've got to be mean to win at Daytona. Nobody won at Daytona by being passive.
Yeah, it's just about being aggressive at the right time, and some drivers master that better than others. Some drivers can time that better than others, but you're seeing at the front of the field, there's a lot of experts right now. Absolutely.
And you can tell it's still the calm before the storm. The lights now officially on, the sun finally setting behind Daytona Rising. The drivers get a rest from UV rays piercing the visors and now have to deal with bright stadium lights for the rest of the night. Isn't that a great trade-off? Said no one ever, but at least it's not directly in their eyes this time around. But the nuclear explosion in turn number 1 still going to be burning out some retinas for a few more minutes yet.
So close to a record-breaking broadcast tonight. We appreciate everyone being a part of it. Thank you for spending your holiday Monday with us here on AVN Esports. It is the Super Bowl. It is the finals. It's a World Series all rolled into one. Some of the best drivers in and around AVN taking on the high banks to try to become champion of the HTL Daytona 300 here tonight.
And don't go anywhere either, because after this event, if you want to catch up on more interviews with drivers outside the podium, more recap, and just looking forward towards the season, Carmen's got you covered after things wrap up here. Oh, Peltier Sharp gets turned and saves it, but Connor Morris is not so lucky, and he will slide, as will John Hagan.
This should be a yellow if they call it here.
They keep
drivers
it
have
going.
to kind of inform race control that there are multiple cars involved in that, because multiple cars did get turned in that, so that could get called if they try to petition for that.
They might.
Right
but
now it stays green.
It stays green, and a brilliant bit of driving from both of those boys to keep it pointing in the right direction. They both did a pirouette.
Inside wall.
Yeah, and each other. They did a pirouette and kept on going. That's a brilliant bit of driving from one of the younger and the older drivers in the field. They did a nice job of hanging on to that. Of course, John Hagan, old to us, new to HTL, but goodness gracious, great saves by both of them. It all started when Peltier Sharp got a little bit loose, but to finish my point, ABN overtime. And we're not talking about the green-white checkers. Gonna be with Carmen over on ABN 2, where some of you were at for the pre-race show. So we'll be making a seamless shift broadcast, we're gonna like to call that, where we will be rating directly to ABN 2. So don't go anywhere. Just sit right around after the race is over. We'll talk to our winners. And then Carmen's got all the juicy details for a Sunday night full of statistics and recap. But they've got about 30 so to go yet, and Selena Thompson is getting a bit friendly with some of the doors here, trying to side draft. As Joel Rodriguez is stuck in the sucker hole in the middle and is falling back quickly. He's not gonna get a lot of help. No. Oh, but he's gonna make help. Pulls right down in front of Chris Pendel. You can see how hard Pendel had to jump out of the gas there. He may end up losing the draft if he's not careful. Should be okay. It looks like he's back up to speed now, but goodness gracious.
Yeah, he was not expecting that. He was hoping Rodriguez would stay up there. Probably didn't have to break as much as he did there.
But he wasn't sure what was going on either. Of course,
no, he didn't.
This is what we talk about, though, Carmen. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. This is where these kind of moves start happening. And watch those ascent cars on the top. They have not given up yet. Selena Thompson shaking off that incident from earlier and still going after it. I think she thinks she can win this Daytona 300. She's definitely got the attitude to do it. It's just a matter as if that rookie skill and inexperience is going to be too much to overcome or not, but she's been learning so quickly. She's got brilliant teammates to learn from. She's gonna have to get through Katie Height to do it, though.
Yeah, I gotta get to the Arrowhead Racing cars to do it, because all three of them are gonna stick together until the very end of this race.
Oh, Thompson! Oh, gets turned in the middle of the tri-oval. She saved it. And now she gets turned again. Now the caution comes out.
Trying to be a little bit too aggressive there.
She locks it down.
I don't know if that was on Gibney or Thompson.
I don't know. We'll have a look, but she locked it down. She did a brilliant job. Honestly, because she got out of line. I don't know if she was trying to help her teammate or was I think she got off sequence and didn't want to push Eli Sasek and then got into a hairy situation. Had a brilliant save down the front straightaway. And then, unfortunately, I don't know what happened after that, but I think that everybody was just all on top of each other. They should have wrecked about 100 meters beforehand. But now,
this is going to be a sketchy one.
Yeah, this is going to turn this into a fuel mileage extravaganza.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up, because they're going to pit with 31 laps to go. They're going to be able to save a couple laps under this caution. But fuel mileage. Friends are now very much who you can trust and where. And you can't get much more trusting than being with teammates. And a lot of drivers up into the front of the field now have teammates to work with.
Well, you'd think that, but look at what just happened between teammates. Obviously not intentional, but take a look at Thompson here. Trying to push that 9. Got a hit from, I think that's Gibney.
That's pushing the pusher there. I don't think that was...
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, they get lucky there, but then they just run out of room. And then again, Gibney finished her off. But it wasn't Gibney's fault, obviously. It was actually
Gibney got help
Rodriguez pushing Gibney back into her. It was
lovely...
All of Ascent imploded there, a la Stepping Stone Motorsports. Not uncommon to what we've seen with them, where it seems like every driver has a mistake in 10 seconds time from the lead, no less. Let's take another look here. Yeah, so it was smart of Thompson to move out of lane, but I think Gibney just got into the wake and couldn't get off of her, and just really couldn't get off of her. But I think the net code's going to help her here, because she just goes for a lazy slide, doesn't really get hit too hard. That's critical because she didn't have a fast repair left. So she's driving for her life right there. And now here we go. We're going to see just about everybody. I'd be surprised if anybody stays out here with what's at stake other than lap down cars, who I believe we do have James Wright, who stays out, who's a lap down, but everybody else into the pit lane now, and that is expected, and probably the smart move. Because at least now, if you can't make it, nobody can make it, right? Or everybody's in the same position. Oh, we got trouble in the back. That's Lilac Zier. We saw it earlier. Getting into your pit box is just as tough. That didn't go away. In fact, it's almost as extreme under caution here. So Lilac Zier gets turned under pit conditions. Pit crews and drivers scatter, and she will get her service. Luckily, low-speed contact, but That's what we talked about with that graphic, Carmen.
Lane's important. And obviously, everyone coming in at the same time. Drivers coming out, drivers coming in. It's a nightmare. Especially at 60 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour is still a decent amount of speed to make contact at in these cars.
We talked about it here, looking on that right-hand side of your screen. We just looked at it earlier. This is why pit stops are so critical on this track. Obviously, what we're seeing here is green flag coordination and why that's important. But this is probably what precipitated this here. Lilac Zero trying to get to her pit box. Oh, yeah, see right here. Take a look on the right-hand side of your screen. When you're side by side like this, you have to get to your box. Car on the left, pit box is further down. Your pit box before them. You can't just drive through them. You have to find your way around them. Lilac Zero trying to get into her pit box as somebody was coming out. Who was this that clocks her? Oh, it was Reynolds who clocks her. And then she gets hit again by DJ Anderson. So trying to get into her box while somebody was trying to get out. That's what happens when 35 cars are in the pit lane. That's how it is sometimes. You just got to be heads up on that.
Fortunate there for Zier to be involved in that incident. Have to start at the back of the field here. Unfortunately, will be, I believe, if I double check here, I believe 31st. The very last car on the lead lap, but all 36 cars still running. Everyone's still got a shot with 38 laps to go.
She probably also holds on to that faster pair as well, which is why she's at the back. And why not? You're already at the back of the field there because you got spun, and you can't. In real life, you can service the car backwards. iRacing, you cannot. You'll get a bad angle call. So anything more than about, I don't know, 20 degrees or so, it doesn't let you pit in your box. So she had to do a full 360, get the car back, even though she completely missed her box to begin with because she got clobbered there. She gets it back in direction, gets the car worked on. She's still on the lead lap, and that's all you need at Daytona. Forces her hand of notoriously goofy strategies, but it worked out for her a couple times before. Why not tonight? 29 laps to go at the line in what has been a fantastic Daytona 300. Thank you all so much for being here with us. I am Kristina Ryan alongside Carmen Sienna. We've brought you flag-to-flag coverage, pre-race as well with Carmen, and also in Carmen's case, post-race coverage. I'll be here for the first bit of that, giving interviews to hopefully the podium, and get to hear from our newest Daytona 300 winner after the checkers flies, but we still got 29 and some change if we get some green-white checkers to settle that one out. But thank you all for being here with us. If you got some friends that are not sure what to do, can make this a record-breaking night for us. We thank everybody for the support and sticking around. Still plenty to go. It's not too late to tag your friends and get them in for what's probably going to be one of the most exciting finishes of the year. You're not going to want to miss the next 29 laps of the great simulation race. iRacing Mustang pace car pulls to the left. It's still Arrowhead out front. Blake Henderson behind. Height and Henderson on the top. That's a lethal combo. Green flag back in the air. 29 laps left. I'll tell you what, Carmen. This might be our last opportunity before it gets really, really hairy. The track is fully bathed in moonlight and stadium floodlights. The engines are purring and they're in a big old pack. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. It's Crank It Up on ABN.
trouble.
Go.
Still green here at Daytona. You saw the chaos unfolding from on board. A couple cars, I believe that's Henderson we're on board with right now, or was on board with.
Yeah, Reynolds went to the pit lane, a bit of pandemonium there. I'm surprised that wasn't a caution. We'll go very quickly here to do a little side-by-side and see if we can't see what happened. It started with Tommy Reynolds getting really, really out of shape there through the tri-oval, or entering the tri-oval rather, and it's already happened at this point, so not a great view, but you can see that's E-Step. Meredith is in it. Moutre got a piece of it, and that is Eli Sasek. Oh, and it started with a bad side draft from Sasek. Watch the blue car there.
Yeah, he tries a side draft to 96 there.
Pulled him up. Pulled Reynolds up. And at the same time that happened, it looked to me like Joel Rodriguez got a bad push from E-Step. And then as Sasek comes back down, Moutre gets collected, and then an avoidance to 17 of Meredith clips E-Step, and they all go sliding through the pit lane. I think, yeah, Sasek's going to make pretty significant contact to the inside wall, and you can see him on the live pictures at the bottom. He's very far off the pace. Everyone else scatters. Moutre comes flying up the track. Again, a great job by everybody to avoid making that worse than what it needed to be. But again, just a bad bump, Carmen, and things go haywire, and that is a sketchy rejoin. Of course, they can't do anything about that. But heads-up driving by everybody to not make that more...
And it stayed green.
Yeah, and it does stay green, which is unfortunate for those drivers. But hey, Joel Rodriguez took that opportunity and now goes to the lead of this race. A man who didn't make the field here on fill-in was a monster in his duel. Getting pushed by probably one of the best to ever plate race. Katie Height and Rodriguez nose to tail. Swatsworth still in the conversation with 23 laps of racing to go. So update, Eli Sasek now in the pit lane. He is pretty severely wounded, probably got a meatball from that. Donaldson is off the pace a bit as well. Meredith off the pace, Reynolds off the pace. But everybody else kept rolling except for Sasek in all of that. So it's more of a unfortunate that they all got knocked out. You can see Moutre 21 seconds behind on the left-hand side of your screen at the very bottom of the ticker. So a lot of cars lost the draft, but the only one to really get skunked on that was Eli Sasek, who had significant contact to the inside wall. Of course, it may not have brought out a caution, but admins clear those black flags for sliding through the pit lane, because obviously can't do anything about that. Your misery is that you got spun, not that you didn't spin at pit speed. So good enough there. If they get a caution, they'll be back in it. They're going to be fighting to stay on the lead lap, or at least one lap down, but this is the fight. 22 laps to go. Can they make it on fuel? Will they be able to make it without another caution? I'm sure a lot of the drivers here honestly would have preferred another caution, honestly, because then it'd be an outright fight to the end. And I'm thinking with the speeds they're running, a lot of these drivers are committed to making another pit stop. They would have had to save an awful lot, and they're racing a bit harder than I think they would if they were saving fuel. But who knows? Hunter Peach back to the front with Snyder and Gibney. And how about Josh Arnold, who we saw sideways. He was going too slow at one point that the racetrack bit him and spun him out. He now finds himself third in the Joey Logano Foundation, number 55. Now they're 3 wide. Poznanski in the middle. Hangs on to it for now. That's going to slow down the back half. Oh my gosh, he was not clear. Oh, and now Snyder gets out of shape. They're trying so hard to wreck right now.
20 laps to go still.
Yeah, this is all we're going to be seeing from now to the checkers. It's just
when
do they wreck?
Saving.
No, that's what I'm saying. They were running 200 at the line, and they're racing so hard. I feel like
there's going to be pit stops.
Yeah, I feel like it was just too big of a gap to risk, especially with the green-white checkered deltas. It just doesn't make sense right now. Oh, and Height now to the outside lane, has Breo following her, and Gaiman trying to shoot the gap. Breo couldn't make it. Now look at how that side draft, that's a live action side draft. You see how quickly that 88 falls back. That's why it's called the sucker hole. You're getting side drafted on both ends. The middle is the way to make up the most positions and the easiest way to lose them all too. And now Height gets out of shape. Oh, and gets turned by Gibney. Hard to the wall, the caution's out, and that's going to be Peach and Gaiman. And a hard hit there for... they're wrecking everywhere now. That's going to be the big one. And they're still wrecking. We wondered
when it was going to happen. With 19 to go, we found the answer.
Withers is in the pit lane. I think he might have avoided that one. The 21 severely torn up of Alfred Denny. He was parked on the front stretch. There you see Poznanski's day might be done. He's out of quick repairs too, I believe, so his day is probably over. Height comes straight to the pit lane to get repairs, wondering how bad the damage is on that. Oh, that right front looks pretty well killed. And she does take the fast repair. We'll see who else. Poznanski does not look like he has a fast repair because he would have taken it by now, so I think Poznanski might be the first retirement from this race, depending on how long it takes them to put that car back together. Anywhere from 8 to 30 minutes if you have a meatball. Just kind of depends how much the damage is. So let's have a look and see what we can see here. This is not the crash that brought out the yellow. That's Sasic, who was off the pace from the earlier incident, so it's going to be here. And we're going to be looking at Katie Height. She got off. Oh, yeah, you can see already the 31 of Gibney. Gave a bad push. I'm starting to think, Carmen, do you think latency might be playing a bit of a key here as well with the way that these bumps are going? These drivers really struggling to put bumper to bumper. Is it just too much aggression, or are we starting to see some of the classic iRacing gremlins start to show themselves here?
I'm seeing more of it with the side drafting than I am with the actual bumping here. This is just a really aggressive bump because Gibney's not staying level, and you see he got to the left and moved back up, and that turned Katie down to begin with. And
then she tries to cover it but can't, but it made Gibney move up, and Gibney, you can see it, Gibney unloads. And as soon as he comes out of 4, he tried so hard, but couldn't keep it away from the 11. And then
that's
it's
a bad
pandemonium.
bump through and through.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think there's latency could make that worse 100%, but I don't think that's it because they were flush and then they weren't.
And you can see them
when you stop being flush.
And again, this is one of those, they did a good job, everybody slowing down, but this is one of those instances. We've been so lucky today to not have multiple cars blocking the track. It's always been a couple cars in the wall or whatever, but look at how this happens back here. I mean, these are cars scattering here that are, 8-10 seconds off the wreck. They basically have to come to a stop because look, Height's backwards on the track. At this point, Denny is perpendicular on the start-finish line here, so it's not ideal for these drivers one bit.
Not at all.
But what it does mean is that there is no more fuel saving. That is now over. Even if we have green, white, check. This is basically the final pit stops for these drivers, which takes a lot of stress off of them because it's not a green flag pit stop they need to make. But I want to ride on board with the gyro cam real quick, the helmet cam with Kevin Gibney Jr. to kind of watch this precipitate. But what were you going to say, Carmen?
I think we'll also want to kind of get an onboard of the 88 of Breo there, the Carolina Beagle Racing machine, because apparently he had a pretty good avoidance there, looking just throughout the cameras that we've got. We've got over 100 cameras around this track. Yeah, and you can see right there where you can see the wheel was turned. Obviously, Gibney didn't, that wasn't an act of aggression. That wasn't anything silly. That was just, Morris ran out. That's what I was talking about. They were all slowing down, but just cars are everywhere. Tires are broken. People cannot, eventually you just run, the idea would be to stop, right? But then you're going to have exactly that happen. You're going to get packed from the car behind. And Breo, who now runs second, watch this all unfold. You can see it right here, how sideways that 31 car is. New fire suit to the 88 box. But watch this here. You'll see Kate get out of shape, and then you'll watch Gibney get out of shape because Gibney moves up and then left. He basically initiates a drift on accident because he's avoiding Height, and then right there it unloads, and it's over. And he did brilliant bit of driving there for him. And look at everybody in the mirror as they all wreck behind him. So Jeremy Breo has thrown himself back into the race with that one. Brilliant bit of driving. So 17 to go, 6th caution of the day. The over-under was 9, and it was looking good as it always was going to, but now not too surprised to see the caution count start to go up, and I'm thinking we might be pretty good to make that prediction for 9 cautions. It seems like we are right on the money, Carmen. Reminder also, because this could be very, very important, there are unlimited green-white checkers. This series very keen on making sure this race finishes under green. Once you get to the white flag, point of return.
Yeah.
But you got to get there first, and HTL very keen on making sure that we get to that point here tonight.
You as a stats woman, you would know just as well as I do, we have never had a Daytona race in HTL that did not have a last lap crash. So look for that. And we talked about Daytona Rising a lot tonight. Real quick, track facts about Daytona itself. Obviously, this is our 13th year since the repave, turning it into a bit of a handling track like what we saw with Gibney unloading out of 4. Did you know that the Daytona Rising project, the project's so long that the designers had to counteract for the curvature of the Earth to keep it structurally sound? Little food for thought.
It's a huge racetrack here in Daytona Beach, Florida.
And it's
huge track, huge sounds.
Yeah, and looming over the Goliath of a grandstand, looming over the Goliath of a pack, in which all but Scott Poznanski currently rolling right now. Poznanski might get back out there before it's over. And look at this, blocks already. Breo is hungry.
Yeah, he had to get down in front of Joe Rodriguez. I'm not sure why he decided to get down that early, though, because he just gave Henderson clear runway. Blake Henderson has never won this 300. He is now leading the outside lane, trying to do the sweep between the ABN Daytona 300 and the HTL Daytona 300. Can he do it? Coming to 15 to go.
He got spun earlier trying to take the lead from the man who's pushing him now, of Josh Gaiman. Your friends are where you find them, Carmen.
A lot of experts now at the front of the field.
And Breo is not going to let go of this lead easy. Late entry, aggressive driver. He's won plenty of accolades. He wants a 300 to add to his mantle. Oh, and now they bounce off of each other. Yeah, there they go. Another one down the back. No caution yet. We stay green.
That is insane. Everyone stayed on the apron.
And everyone did a 360 and kept going. And look at the 6 of Tommy Withers as he tries to thread the needle. How on earth?
You know what? It's a couple incidents that should have been cautions, but props to everyone for somehow saving it, because no one speared that inside wall. And there should have been 4 instances where someone could have eaten it.
Yeah, well, when 50 drivers show up and about 12 go home, the 36 that made it had every right to be here, and stuff like that, exactly why. Brilliant driving, but now this is going to cause a huge rift in the pack, because look, it's going to be pack on pack, catching pack. They're going to be racing up front. They're not going to be single file. 14 to go. Look at this massive mess. And look at the pack behind them, too. Katie Height having deja vu. She was about to race a pack all the way up to the front in the shootout. Ended up upside down, a couple of them by the end of that one.
I'm beginning to understand why they call it Pac-Man.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I don't think Atari had that in mind.
Yeah, but it was cool. We'll have a look at that later. It's a little too late in the race to take a look. I'll make a note. We'll go back and look at that if this race goes green to the end or at the next stopping point. That was incredible, Carmen, and that shows exactly why these drivers deserve to win here. Whoever wins it, it is well-deserved.
Yeah, insanity here tonight. Caution does come out. I believe Matthew Boone's a part of it, yeah.
And Swatsworth, oh, that's a lot of damage.
Oh, that's a huge damage. A lot of moving parts there.
Yeah, is that Swatsworth's car? Oh, he's destroyed, Swatsworth is.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had help there. I'm assuming he must have.
Caution finally comes out. The frantic activity finally reached a boiling point. He had already been turned around early, and I believe it's off of the nose of Taub.
This is going to be painful because he's going to come back up into traffic. And yeah,
it's off the nose of Taub. He tried clearing himself, I think.
Yeah, he sees a hole right there, but it filled.
But it just, it's one of those things where the spotter calls it just a little bit too late.
Oh, he's on the brakes. You can see it. Oh, my goodness.
Is that the hit?
Denny, Alfred Denny clobbers him. But
that
you
21 car destroyed.
But you saw the fronts were locked up. He was doing everything he could to not come back up in front of traffic. And there's no point. You're not going to make it. And Denny's so far. Denny was the last car in the lead draft. Hang on tight and get ready to brace, guys, because this one's going to be aggressive.
On board with Denny.
And there's nothing you can do if you're Denny.
There really isn't. You see the car spinning down low. Where do you go?
Oh.
And the thing is, I don't think Denny could have picked a lane that would have worked.
He picked the right lane. It just filled. Yeah, there was nothing he could have done there because you saw the car in front of him was Eli Sasek, made it through. It just... You can't do anything.
when Denny hit Swansworth was perpendicular across the entire racetrack. There's not a full lane anywhere at that moment in time. And it really doesn't, unless you're able to hit the brakes and just spin the car out, which obviously you're not going to try to do that if you don't have to.
Listen to this. Get ready for this. Oh,
Oof.
I mean, that you feel that? If your hands are on the wheel in the sim, you feel that? I mean, that goes through you. I mean, that is a hard lick. It doesn't matter that it's in the sim or not. With the way these wheels get, that's a big hit. Obviously, he's fine. Not everybody running direct drives, but those are the kind of ones that... Those are the ones that scare you a little bit, and you go, holy cow. Especially if you're on direct drive, you go, oh my gosh.
Direct drive plus VR equals a nightmare right there. Because
oh yeah, especially if you're either of them. Yeah.
Legitimately, just close your eyes.
Oh. And look at the parts.
You see all the debris there. That is insanity. You see the...
That's the whole hood of Alfred Denny's machine flying down into the front stretch. You see the damage on the 18 car. Take one more look at it from this camera angle. It's just something that happens. You see, he's getting clear. He knows that outside line is dying. He gets a really big push, and right here, he sees that hole, and he says, I need to get down here, because if not, that outside lane's going to die out. But look at the run the 16 has. He moves down too late, and he hesitates a little bit, and that's what did it. He hesitated just that little bit. It allowed the 16 to get on his left-hand corner. Around he goes, and then watch this. He's locked down. He's doing everything he can. Brent Roberts barely misses it. Sasek gets by, and then, nowhere to go for Alfred Denny, who takes a tremendous hit to that center of the 18 car, which was a strong enough impact to send the 18 airborne and down onto the apron. He threw the 18 onto the apron. That's how much energy was dissipated there. Obviously, car's destroyed, and that's all she wrote, unfortunately, and I believe that might be day done for Alfred Denny. If not, he definitely had to tow. Sasek in the pit lane as well, who, by the way, Sasek got back out on the track, who avoids that crash. He's a handful of laps down. Scott Poznanski is apparently also circulating once again, and there he is, right there in the black and red car on your screen. So he has finished his repairs. He is 8 laps down and ahead of Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp, who currently sits in the pit lane, who I think may be having more issues. So technically, nobody is retired yet.
Yeah, everyone's still on track.
But Denny might be the next one up, because if that was a terminal impact, that was not just wheel damage. That wasn't an 8-minute repair. That was the whole front clip gone. That's going to be pretty big. How'd you like to be Cole Snyder, leading this race with 10 to go? What do you do, Carmen, if you're leading with 10 to go? What's your mindset on this restart?
Scream.
Crying is not an option.
It's so difficult because you don't want to lead at 10 to go. You really don't, because there's so much that's going to be out of your hands. I believe it was mentioned earlier, you want to kind of be 3rd through 6th. You want to kind of be able to... You don't want to be leading the line, but you want to be able to help control the line. That's where you want to be. So you want to be either... Really, you got 3rd through 6th. If you're in row 2 or row 3 right now, your objective is to stay there. And then wait for things to get to the final lap and see where things lay at that point, because you're in the best spot imaginable, especially if you're in 4th or 3rd, because then you can kind of manipulate where 5th and 6th go for you, where Damon and Hagen would be at this point. You can manipulate where they go, and you can make them go with you, because they're worried about getting the best position possible. A win might be out of reach if you're 5th or 6th, and you're controlling that, and you're trying to control that lane. But if you're 3rd or 4th, it gets game on here. The objective is just to stay there.
Absolutely, and this is the part where the nerves start to go higher than ever. Your heart rate is pounding at this point. Pace car's off, 9 to go. Snyder and Henderson lead us down.
On the wall, Taub.
Keeps it up there. Good man. They're scattering to get around, and it's going to get Meredith sideways. He's in the wall, but he keeps it up there too. No caution.
Bad luck for NFG Motorsports. That is very bad. He's already damaged there. You see the...
Yeah, he's
goodness.
probably done. But you know what? Good sportsmanship from both of them. They kept it up in the wall. They let the race continue. That is a racer to racer, that gets all the respect in the world. I don't care about where they finish. Those two definitely, I'm buying both of them a beer after that, because that's smart. That's the maturity we talked about, Carmen.
It really is. It's especially for them. There's a whole season left of racing. As much as you want to win this race,
if it's not your day, it's not your day.
You have to immediately shift to the championship aspirations. Move on to the next race.
And not only that, but think if it was the other way around. You wouldn't want somebody to come 12 lanes across the racetrack. You want them to stay in the wall and let these guys and girls race it out. That's good sportsmanship, and that shows, you know, that even though they hate each other half the time, they're looking out for each other.
Yeah. Content character shows up in those moments.
And look at the runs that are generating. We're going to see, a couple cars blinking here. Be a bad time for a server outage. There's a 64 of Hagen and Snyder side by side. Henderson, he's about to get turned.
You see how much looser that outside lane's getting. That unload's getting more and more dangerous.
That's wind, that's the new package, and that's 13 years of Floridian asphalts finally starting to fade. We've seen it in real life. We see it all the time. Turn 4 is the trouble corner, and when they're pushing that hard, the cars are unloading. They have been all night. It's caused so many crashes. Look at this. Joel Rodriguez going to the middle. And shuffles Henderson out to drive, but he's got help with Moutre now. They're going to be 3 abreast going into turn 3, and look at how now that they're all side by side like that, look at how the front 3 can break away. This is not what you want to be. 3 wide to make moves. You got to make them, but you got to make them quick because you can't stay like that forever. And Boone keeps it up and gets it off. He's going to be down on pace, but he should stay in the draft. Another good heads-up driving there. Connor Morse hangs on to it.
Little help from James Wright in that. That was a bad bump from James Wright, pushing the push situation there.
There they go.
And there he goes.
They were never going to make that, but they sure as heck tried. Hagen trying to hang on to it more.
Wright.
Oh my goodness. Brent Roberts goes for the hospital hop, and is anyone going to hit him? No.
No.
Wow.
Somehow.
Whew. Wow. Wow. And there's Joel Rodriguez back there, too.
Much worse.
How many times have we said that tonight, Carmen? How many times have we gone, wow, that was nearly a nightmare, and they somehow... I mean, this is brilliant. Yeah, they're wrecking. They're going to wreck. But the way that they're doing it, how many times have we seen 6, 7 cars spin out and none of them hit hard? This was going to happen for about a lap and a half, and the fact that it happened in the worst part to have a wreck at the end of the tri-oval, and they somehow didn't cause mass calamity is beyond me. Look here. Yeah, they get checked up on the top. Connor Morse already got sideways.
Breo, isn't it?
Well, it's right there with Henderson. Yeah, it's behind Breo, and that's where Hagen gets turned. They just get misaligned, and at the same time that that's happening, Connor Morse gets turned. Joel Rodriguez.
Because Rodriguez moves down because he sees the accident happening, and Wright's just pushing Morse into it.
And he's the meat in the sandwich. Selena Thompson does a good job getting through there. Look at Katie Height. Woo, she sneaks through. I believe the 94 also sneaks through. Yes, he does. Brilliant.
Pendell.
Bit of driving by Pendell. Withers makes it through. Is that Gibney that sneaks through there on the outside? I think it was. Kevin Gibney Jr. Brilliant bit of driving there. And then it's not over because here comes Brent Roberts. I mean, woohoo.
Stealing a joke from the Twitch chat here for a moment. Olivia Hayward raced this race last season, giving us the joke. Left 6 over jump, perhaps.
Yeah, something like that.
And this could have been an absolute disaster. Redoing the track 90 degrees sideways.
I mean, that was the same thing that we just saw with Kyle Taub, too. Locked up, did everything he can. Great avoidance by Hunter Peach. Holy moly. And likewise by Taub. Yeah, and everybody
Taub,
here.
Wadsworth, and
Poznanski, DJ Anderson. That was Reynolds, I think, as well. So everybody there does it. That is a bang up job there and it's a good job too by Reynolds to just don't move. The worst thing you can do is grab a gear and move. That's why we had that big crash with Peltier Sharp in the ABN Cup Series at Talladega. Grabbed a gear, spun in front of the field, big crash. Just stay still. Wait for, if you don't have an actual spotter, wait until your relative, you got double digits on both ends. You're losing the spots anyway. There's not much of a point. So good. I mean, I don't know what to say other than this. This is just end of Daytona kind of racing, right? This is just what happens. This is on board with height. Watch this. The car in front of her is going to get a pilot's license, and the car behind her gets involved. Oh, she kind of tipped. I see. She kind of tipped Reynolds there, and that's what sent Reynolds on his space oddity.
Was it? Oh, Roberts, you mean?
Roberts. That's what kind of triggered all of that. And Roberts, oh my gosh, let's ride on board with him because this will be enlightening at the very least, and at the very most, it'll be entertaining to watch. So here we go. Oh yeah, Height didn't quite make it through. She tipped Roberts, who does a great job to save it, but then, listen, oh, you can see the car bounce.
And that's more violent than it looks.
Oh yeah. Oh, so is that. Oh my gosh. But look, he's kept it hooked right. He's not moving. He's not grabbing gears. He's waiting. And that's why if he did anything, it's so much easier to miss a stationary target than a moving target.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about 3,500-pound stock cars.
Yeah, he was a moving target. That's why him and Height got together. They both went for the same gap trying to avoid it. And that's why he went for the slide. There's Connor Morse. Henderson everybody up there. It's one of those wrecks where they all slowed down enough that everybody kind of just glanced off each other. That's why we didn't see it all night long. And, oh, great avoidance there by Ryan Pennell. Goodness gracious. It's one of those deals where everybody's doing a good job, and with the new damage model, you can kind of just glance your way through contact and not have too much damage. Like, watch here how, Morse and Moutre and Henderson, they all just kind of... Everybody up there just kind of doinks off of each other. Nobody really goes around for more than a few seconds until Roberts comes flying up the track. I will say, goodness gracious, Hunter Peach, where was he going? I mean, that was like a cork in a bottle. We got very lucky he didn't. He had spot syndrome there.
Yeah.
This will be the 8th caution, and it will be a natural green-white checkered. I hate to say it, Carmen, but I'll bring it up again. We have never had a Daytona race without a last lap crash in HTL. And it's...
You got one of those vibes, don't you? Yeah. It's one of those feelings.
Look, it's been a great race. No matter what happens, it's been a fantastic race. Everyone has done a fantastic job. We have 34 cars still rolling at this point in the race. Every single driver made it to at least lap 100, which is another incredible milestone. So, look, whatever happens next, this is Daytona, folks. This is how it's gonna be. This is what happens when it's the checkered flag at Daytona. You leave everything on the table, and all bets are off. Point of no return. If we see that white flag, sparks will fly, and I'm not talking about the post-race fireworks. But we'll see what they do. That's the fun part. We get to see what they do with that info. Pace car is gonna be off. Potentially one more attempt here. Unlimited attempts at a green-white checkered. Natural green-white checkered now. Green flag is out, and Snyder took the top. The rookie. Nobody has... Go ahead.
See if he comes down to work with his teammate. He does!
Yeah, he does.
It is in left Gaiman hanging out the dry.
And Gaiman nearly left himself out of a chance to win the 300. So
yeah,
he had to concede there, and now he's getting a huge shot from Sosi. Down the back straightaway now. Do they make it back?
Little bit of latency there. I believe that's Millsap.
Hey, keep an eye on James Wright. We said he was a dark horse. Here he
Oh,
comes.
look at that outside line move.
Triple tandem on the outside, and Selena Thompson and Height. Breo to the middle.
Whoa, James Wright to the inside.
Here they
Coming
come.
to the white flag. Do they make it back?
I don't know. I think they're going to wreck. There they go.
Damon's
around. They don't make it. It's the big one.
This is the big one.
That's the huge one. And then they all scatter. They didn't make it. And on top of that, 10 or more cars wadded up out of turn 4. And Daytona dreams for Stepping Stone Motorsport, 100 meters too short. E-Step is totaled. Reynolds is hurt. Merchant through the pits. Sosi, Thompson, Snyder, Height, and how about Chris Pendell?
Season 2's race winner, missed all last season, comes back with a shot to do what he did. over a year ago.
Oh my Lord. We will have overtime, and this is going to be interesting because where they pit on fuel, we had a lot of yellow flag laps, but what is the fuel numbers like? Oh, it started with Moutre in the back, Moutre in the 6. You could tell, though, they're 4 wide at Daytona.
You can do that at Talladega, not here.
Not for long, anyway, and it really doesn't work. So this is incredible. The push. We know that the triple tandy. It's kind of an unspoken rule, right? Because it is so much faster. But if you tell anybody that the triple tandy works, it's just going to cause crashes. Nobody can do it. It's so hard to pull off, and the fact that not even teammates, they just had Sosi in the middle and pulled that off is insane. But there was 2 crashes in one.
There's where it starts. It doesn't start 3 wide there. It goes 4 wide after this.
And watch Sosi there on the left-hand side. Gets on the wrong end. Got too far on the end there. There's 3 crashes in one happening. You see the 90 E-Step go airborne as he hopped over the wheel of Kevin Gibney Jr. There goes all of Stepping Stone Motorsports. Minus Zier, who actually now, I think, is actually she's 7th now. And look at Hunter Peach doing a great job to try and sort his way through, but he runs out of room. DJ Anderson sneaks through there and is 12th place now in that purple NFG car. Hard impact to the inside wall for several cars as they all just run out of real estate.
Merchant.
Oh, who's that in the air back there? That's
Boone. That's Gallo. Is that Galloway or Boone?
That's Boone in the air. Galloway's sideways there on the yellow line.
Yeah, I saw Galloway get airtime too. The 51 got a lot of rear impact there and went almost for like a bunny hop.
Yeah, everybody stayed on the ground, luckily, but nobody went over rather, and everybody who was off the ground was light airtime. But yeah, watch here. I mean, Boone's on the bottom of the track, gets turned, and then I think he gets hit by Swatsworth comes to a stop. I think he misses this wreck. Oh no, he does get just tagged, and yeah, I think that was Poznanski that came in late with the late hit on Boone, and it was, and you'll watch there on the left-hand side of your screen how it launches him up. There's not a whole lot you can do.
There's not a lane you can pick. You're bobbing and weaving.
Well, you're not going to lift. Why would you? This is coming to the checkers at Daytona. We just said it. You're leaving everything on the line. Yeah. And it shows because we had 3 crashes all happen within 10/10ths of each other. And watch this here. Watch Thompson height. And everybody on this outside line just kind of sneaks through there, while everybody on the inside pretty much gets clobbered up. And Cole Snyder's still out here too. He had a brilliant launch on that restart. He's been up front. Don't count him out. We haven't talked about him enough today, Carmen. He has been up there since the 3rd stage started, and he's never really left.
He really hasn't. And
Millsap now enters the fray. Breo sticks around. Apperson, Henderson, and Donaldson are back in. Boy, what a day it would be for them to win after all they've been through in Tombstone. I mean, what a race. What a fantastic race it's been so far.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot more chaotic here. First attempt officially at an overtime finish.
Yep, we have unlimited attempts. That first one was a, how do we say, it was a natural green white checkered. How about Selena Thompson? She has been absolutely on it all speed weeks.
Recovering from a crash of her own earlier in this race, too.
2 of them.
Yeah.
And now she finds herself sitting on the inside row. She's picking up right where she left off in the duels.
This is going to be a major coup for somebody. We have Coast to Coast, a brand new team. Lady Liberty Motorsports, a brand new team. Ascent Racing, their first full season. Katie Height, who has never won at Daytona here in HTL. We have Chris Pindell, who's been gone for a year. Jeremy Breo in his debut. Oh, and then you've got Blake Henderson, Lalex here, sitting right there at the edge of the top 10. That's okay. It's easy to pick this one, right?
Yeah, super easy. Easiest call of your life. My heart rate is pounding up here. And you know, when we're in the car, Carmen, you're usually cold as ice, but you still feel your heartbeat. You have to psych yourself out that it's not as bad as it is.
Yeah.
You have to convince yourself somehow that this is normal. This is what
And
you
the
race.
car-
This is what you race for. You race for this adrenaline rush. How can people sit here for hours and hours behind a fake wheel playing a video game? This is why. This is where it all comes down. The chips are down. This is your chance. There's money on the line. There's a championship playoff spot on the line. There's a Daytona 300 on the line. This is what you come out for. This is why you show up every week. This is go time, and everybody knows this. Every single driver here knows this, and with 29 of them still on the lead lap, oh boy. Here we go.
Pathway to immortality begins here.
The door to destiny is open, but only one can walk through. Green flag in the air. Potentially the final restart. Not a good start for Selena Thompson.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of wheel spin there in front of Cole Snyder as well. It backed up that entire inside lane, and
Oh,
they're
there
going
she
to go
goes.
again. She tried blocking the 24 Snyder.
They
Everyone stays
saved it.
on it, and they somehow stay clear. Do they make it back? That's the question
Well,
once again.
I think they might make it back because they're spread out enough, but the problem now is that they're all going to accordion. It's
Big time,
Sosi.
especially in the turn 3.
Oh, yeah. They will not make it back to the checkers, but they might make it back to the white. Here's Henderson. Don't count him out. He's got help with Brent Roberts. A couple of Fords there. Gaiman slow on the apron. Never mind him. He's not a factor. How about DJ Anderson down there in the purple by himself on the inside? They will make it back. One lap to go in the Daytona 300, presented by Henderson Graphics. Height, Sosi, Millsap, Henderson, or somebody out of the pack. How long can Height push before that engine blows up? Does it matter? She's going to push for all it's worth. We saw this before. The tandem works. Look at that 11 all over the back of the number 81.
Who moves when?
Henderson.
Henderson to the bottom.
Who's going to go with? It's Height. Height goes to the bottom. Side drafts the 81. Who's going to go with who? Crash to the
trouble,
back.
Tao.
Never mind. They're racing back to the line. Sosi out front. Millsap gonna try to go for it for himself to the inside. Checkered flag, it's over. Sosi wins and crashes at the line. Joshua Sosi is your Daytona 300 winner. Millsap second, Bren Roberts third, Henderson and Height round out the top 5. What a brilliant finish to a fantastic race. Joshua Sosi, the rookie, the admin, showing how it's done. An excellent job hauling the mail. Stage winner.
On the first stage,
one
stayed
winner.
quiet.
Won the final stage. Unbelievable effort.
Holy cow.
Can you believe that finish?
That could have gone to anyone in that top 7.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was so good. And congratulations from Connor Morse. I'd say the man, but the kid who pushed him to that stage win. Katie Height giving Sosi the run that he needed. And then when it all came down, he got turned at the end, but it didn't matter. He got across the line first. No controversies here. He is your Daytona 300 winner, and what a stellar race. I mean, we are going to be talking, that is an ABN instant classic, no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely wow. We get to watch the 81 car in victory lane.
Yeah.
Burn it down.
So well deserved. Was up front all day long. How about Lady Liberty Motorsports too? This is your ABN winning moment as Sosi takes it home at Daytona. And gonna, shades of Alan Kowicki. He's more than earned it as he's gonna take a victory lap. And Carmen, it doesn't matter what league, it doesn't matter if it's in iRacing. A Daytona win doesn't stay with you for your whole season. It doesn't stay with you for your whole career. It stays with you for your whole life. And take a look at this guy right here. Checkered flag. Shades of his hero, Jeff Gordon. Taking it home at Daytona in spectacular fashion. Congratulations to Josh Sosi for Lady Liberty. The Presque Isle, Maine native rookie winner in the 300. Oh.
It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And there's so much to unpack, and I'm afraid I won't be around for all of the unpacking, but for a moment, let's just soak it in.
Giving an update on the programming here. We'll have podium interviews here coming up here in a little bit. Kristina will be handling those. I'll be getting ready for ABN overtime. We already saw a little bit of overtime. We'll cover all the post-race action, recap as much as we can in the 30-minute post-race show after the conclusion of this broadcast. Historic night across the board. We appreciate everyone being a part of it. Thank you all so much. For those that tuned in around the world, wherever you are, thank you all so much. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of praise and applause for this man right here, Josh Sosi.
And
race winner at Daytona.
And not to take a single thing away from Sosi. He played it great all day long. He was up front. He won a stage. He won the race. He's done a fantastic job. He was where he needed to be, and he didn't do anything overzealous. He didn't make any moves that he didn't need to make. He trusted that Height would be there until she wasn't, and Height just didn't have the help. Henderson didn't have the help that he thought he'd have, and neither did Height. So what ended up happening is that he had to pull a block at the end, and he doesn't need that front bumper anymore. He's the Daytona 300 winner. But tip of the hat to the entire field, Carmen, because tonight's race had every opportunity to be terrible. It had every opportunity to be a complete, you know what show, and it wasn't. And burning it down in front of his pit box with his team, Josh Sosi. Well earned, buddy. Fantastic job. The fireworks still going off. And look, not a single fan has left their mile-long seats as the Goliath of Daytona Rising watches in approval as Josh Sosi has the celebration of a lifetime. And how about this? Welcome to the playoffs as well. Lady Liberty and Josh Sosi.
He was top 12 in our preseason power rankings on abnesports.com. He just immediately shot up to number 1.
Yeah.
Like that. He went from 11th to 1st with that race win.
And it's not a fluke.
Spectacular job.
It's by no means a fluke. He's been strong all season, or all speed weeks, rather. It feels like it's been a whole season here at Daytona, but he has been here from the very beginning, and he has made his presence known. Yeah, he was. He was good everywhere. He is going to be a threat to win this championship, and they should be scared. And he parks it in the infield at Daytona. And that is a feeling that only a few drivers will ever get to have. And from one Daytona winner to another, congratulations, Josh Sosi, because that is one that you will not forget for a very, very long time. Finishing results, going to be scrolling by unofficially, as they have been at the top of your screen. Of course, this is before post-race penalties, if there are any, or any scoring errors, subject to change. But a brilliant finish to a fantastic installment of the HTL Daytona 300. We thank you all so much for being here with us. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk to your newest champion of Daytona, and then we'll let Carmen get some fresh air and get ready to set up for the post-race show. So, whew. And you know what? Credit, too, because, Carmen, you'll have a lot of things to look back at this replay. That wreck where about 6 or 7 cars spun down the back straightaway and all kept it going. And then what could have been another caution there, tip of the hat to Selena Thompson. She went for it, almost wrecked, and still, I mean, the car control she's had, if she can figure out how to get comfortable in the air just a little more, she will be lethal come Atlanta and Talladega. Well, let's see if we can have a word with our newest Daytona 300 champion of Joshua Sosi. It's probably the happiest he's been after an HTL race in a very, very, very long time. Josh, this is Carmen, or Kristina and Carmen in the ABM booth. Do you have a copy?
I gotcha. How we doing?
Pretty good, but probably not better than you. You're a Daytona 300 champion.
How about that, right?
Absolutely fantastic run at the end. Walk us through those final couple of restarts and what it took to get that 81 in victory lane tonight, and a little bit of a scare about 10 feet before start finish.
Yeah, that was just crazy. It's all about protecting your right rear here, and I remember from race control last year watching the winning moves that were being made. and it was really about getting to the outside and being able to protect. And if you have someone committed to you, that was key. Big shout out to Caitlin. I got a PM before we went green saying I'll stick to the top, you know, and whatever happens on the white flag happens. And I was like, okay, I'm good for it. And that's why I chose the top on that restart. So you need a little luck. You need someone willing to work with you. And when the move was made, I had to come down and protect it to not get slide jobbed and stall that out, and then just protect the rear. And yeah, when I got turned in the trial blow, I was just thinking, this really can't be the way this ends. Thankfully, it slid across the line, you know, maintaining position, but it was definitely heart racing for those last couple laps.
Yeah, definitely an exciting bit for us to watch. I'm sure it was a heart in mouth moment for you, but now that it's over, you're here, you're a rookie, but we know you're not. You're now locked into the playoffs. You've won the Daytona 300. You don't have to sit and do admin work for the rest of the night. How does it feel to come in, win the 300, and now know that the rest of your season, you're just having fun? It's house money the rest of the year for you.
Well, that's like the ultimate goal, right? You know, come in and get everything taken care of in the first race, and then the rest of the year, like you said, you don't really have to worry. If you get wrecked, you get wrecked. And, you know, just main focus is building playoff points and trying to help out your teammates. You know, I'd really love to get all 4 cars in the playoffs. It's going to be real tough to do. I'm going to give my advice and expertise and tips and tricks as much as I possibly can, but I can't drive the cars for the rest of the people. And you know, I'm going to do my best part to be a good teammate, but at the end of the day, we all know it's an individual game as well. So try to situate them as best possible and take care of yourself, rack up playoff points, earn the trust and respect of the people that you expect to be racing throughout the rest of the year. You know, big shout out to, like I said, the 11 for pushing me, and a big shout out to Gaiman. I was trying to do the same thing 11 was doing for me and just stay committed until the last lap and see what happened. And unfortunately, I don't even really know what happened there. I had a brief moment to talk to him, and he said he tried to open up the exit to get a good arc, and I wasn't quite expecting that. And I think I just barely got him on the left side of his bumper, and thankfully was able to scoot through. But oh, this is crazy. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
No, you can ramble all you want. You're a winner at Daytona. And of course, we're here in front of near record crowds to have it done in no better way for you, Josh. If there's anybody you want to shout out, I'm sure you have a whole list ready to go. Congratulations on winning the Daytona 300.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to shout out Gibney for being willing to sign me onto the team. You know, taking a chance on me. These people probably knew I could drive a little bit, but they only really knew me for my RC duties. So he took a flyer on me. I'm glad to be able to pay it off for him. First race of the season. First 2, I guess, if you count the exhibition race, we held our own there. And everyone on Lady Liberty, we tried to work with Deep tonight as best we could. So big shout out to them for having an alliance with us at the plate track. Everyone that sponsors our group, the Sewer Brothers, Grandscapers, Barkbox, Blackwater Suds, Grounds and Hounds Coffee. Huge shout out to Nitro Setup Shop. I drive for them, so if you want awesome setup, get you out there on the official side, win some open races, go check them out, nitroracing.com. Sorry, Gaiman, I know you rep another company, but friendly little battle we'll have. And all my buddies on Turtle Shell Motorsports, and you guys. The pre-race was awesome. I was able to watch that. I'm sure this post-race could be cool too. And you know, I got to pay attention to some of your races over the course of the last year, and you've only gotten better and better. So I really look forward to watching this and checking it all out and seeing what you all cover and your opinions and insights. It should be a good time. And lastly, admins, coming from that realm, even though I wasn't an admin, I know it's a thankless job, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and a lot of headaches. So Blake, the rest of the crew, shout out to you guys. You guys are doing great. Don't let the frustration get to you. We got an awesome thing going. We're going to keep it going. And I can't wait to next week I get to play with house money at the road course.
Absolutely, Josh. And I have, of course, our Daytona 300 champion. I have one last question for you. What's the drink of choice for a Daytona 300 winner tonight?
Oh, God, I don't even know. I got to work in the morning, so I can't go too crazy. I got some Crown in the freezer. I might mix that with something or get some Busch Light and Mountain Dew and do a Busch Latte. But, yeah, we'll have something, a nightcap here to to celebrate, and hopefully next week those power rankings look a little different.
Absolutely. Congratulations. That was Josh Sosi, your Daytona 300 champion, and what a way to do it, too. It's hard to forget. It's hard to remember, actually. Very easy to forget who finished behind your champion, but don't count them out at all. Jake Millsap just about had it done there, coming to the checkers, and he's with us now. Jake, this is Kristina in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Close, but no cigar. About a half a car length short, but a really, really good effort from you. Walk us through that last restart.
We hit the restart, and I lost all my teammates due to the last couple wrecks, and I stayed on the outside. I saw people trying to drop down, and stayed up there. Then we got to that turn 4, and I dropped down there, and I was trying to kind of side draft him, and then it touched him, and it kind of hooked him, which I didn't mean to do. But once it got there, I was like, yeah, they'll just see what happens, and yeah.
Still a really good effort from you, of course, for Coast to Coast, having a great run. Was running in the mid-pack most of the day, but slowly worked your way up. Did you have a plan coming into those final few restarts to try to get to the front, or were you just put the pedal to the metal and seeing what would happen if the holes would open?
I didn't have any kind of plan because I thought I'd get wrecked like in the first 20 laps, but overall it was pretty decent. I think that's one of the reasons why I was up there for as long as I was, because it's a complete shock, but yeah, it was a fun time.
Moving forward, of course, you have the Daytona Road Course next, then Miami, a couple more Floridian visits. A good start in the points for you. I know you're thinking more about trying to win the 300 than the points situation, but still a great start. Optimism pretty high headed forward for the next few weeks?
Yeah, we're going to Daytona Road Course, so I'm pretty decent there, so that'll be good. And Homestead, I haven't ran in a while, but should be a decent effort.
All right. Well, Jake, thank you. If you have anybody you want to shout out, now would be the time to do it, buddy. Congratulations on a P2, an excellent run for you and Coast to Coast.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Cole and Josh and Billy, or y'all call him Zach around here. Kyle and Snoop and Butt Dart for watching.
All right, Jake. Well, congratulations. We'll see you next week here for the road course, where you'll have another go at winning at Daytona. Congrats.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, the man who qualified for a pilot license earlier in this race. Can you believe that it's the same man who finishes third after all of that tonight? Bren Roberts takes that 84 car through the melee and finishes in third. And Bren, this is Kristina in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you won't need anybody to fly you home tonight. You got enough miles on your own flying through the inside grass earlier, but you brought it home in third place. A great rebound after a hectic day for you for 1MA.
Yeah, it was not fun. The race was fun, I'm sure, for the people that was up front, but I could not get track position the whole race, and we could have worked better as a team, me, Jared, and Blake, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. And it's tough to be disappointed with a third place, but I feel like I am disappointed with third place. It's tough. I mean, in my opinion, you have to come into these races thinking that you're the best plate racer. You have to come into these races being the most confident, and that's good until you don't win, and then you feel disappointed, even though you come out with a third, and it's just tough.
It is tough, but considering the day you had and all the adversity you fought through, you've got to admit it was a great effort from you, of course, and I know it wasn't the win you're looking for, but it does better your best finish in HTL of 4th at Charlotte. You now move up to at least get on the podium for the first time. I mean, that's still got to be good for you moving forward as well, with the energy and the momentum carrying you into the road course and then Miami, yes?
Yeah, I hope I can make most of the races this season. I know I'll be splitting the 33 with Jared and Blake over the course of the season, so I hope I can make most of the races this season and point my way in. Ideally, I could get a win, so I could possibly miss a couple weeks if I had to. I'd love to compete in this league, and I'd love to compete in the playoffs for this league, and it'd mean a lot if I could do that.
Well, if there's anybody else you'd like to shout out, of course, a podium finish is good in the books of many, Bren, and you've had a hectic way to get there, so it was a long road to hoe. If there's anybody you got to shout out for a podium finish tonight, now would be the time to do so. If not, congrats on a great effort.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to shout out all the people watching on the broadcast, and I just want to say that, you know, my love of racing started when I was 6 years old. My parents took me to Martinsville in 2008, and that was one of the most fun experiences of my life. I see a lot of, I wasn't able to get iRacing until I was 18, so I see a lot of kids, like teenagers, being on this service. And, you know, I know if I was on this service when I was a teenager, yeah, I mean, I would have been immature and I would have done things I shouldn't have. And, you know, I just want better treatment of the kids on this service, because some of the behavior that I see coming from grown adults towards some kids on this service is pretty disgusting. And that, I mean, that's all I want to say. I just want better treatment for those kids, because I know if I was that age, I would want to be treated well.
Well, a man with a very fast race car and a very good message, Brad. A third place finish. Congratulations and enjoying. Yeah, the kids did an excellent job tonight themselves. So very well said. Congrats.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for our interviews for tonight. Of course, things just getting started as Carmen's about to jump out and get ready to go for ABN2's post-race coverage. But Carmen, before we do that, we got to take a little bit of a look-see at the finishing order unofficially for what was an unbelievable HTL 300. What were your thoughts?
Obviously, some drivers are going to have perspectives that may be skewed, but on the outside looking in, this was one of the best plate races we've seen. It had a little bit of everything. Obviously, late race drama is going to kind of ramp that up, but you put all this together, it's going to age obviously incredibly well just looking back at it and watching it all go back. 36 cars, you know, you walk through just how many cars were involved in tonight's race and how many of them made it to the finish. It's still just insane to me. 27 on the lead lap alone, 31 within a lap, 32 with Sasek 2 laps down, Gibney 33rd. It's so hard to finish here when things get sideways and so many drivers can pat themselves in the back for the very least doing that.
Absolutely, and we had a very large amount of drivers actually bring it home to the checkered flag tonight, which is a lot more than I think we expected. We knew this group was good, but we did not expect this many cars to bring it home. It's not a record, well, it might actually be a record-breaking amount. I think 32 is the previous record. We'll see if Gibney got that car back on track for 33rd or not, but Josh Sosi for Lady Liberty Motorsports is your winner by 300 over Jake Millsap with Bren Roberts, Blake Henderson, and Katie Height, all very strong runs to boot. And how about Jeremy Breo? The last second entry was out front. Tried, but is going to have to settle for 6th. Cole Snyder was up front for most of the final segment, ends up with 7th. Connor Morse, the youngest winner in HTL, puts Lady Liberty bookending the top 10 with Tommy Withers, who raced his way in, had a brilliant day, as did Ryan Moutre, who missed the wrecks when it counted and didn't get too caught up in them when it didn't. Lilac Zier in 11th with Kyle Taub. Joel Rodriguez, another fill-in driver, did a fantastic job as a super sub, led laps. Shad Swatsworth rebounding from a massive accident with Alfred Denny. Ryan Pennell in 15th. Zach Meredith, reigning champion, bounces back for 16th. He was about 3 laps down at one point with all those late race cautions. Got back on the lead lap, avoided the chaos, and gets a top 20. Matthew Boone, 17th. Jared Merchant, 18th. James Wright almost had the Daytona 300 in his hands. Unfortunately, ends up in a crash with his teammate, ends up 19th. Blake Galloway in 20th, Carmen.
Yeah, a wild finish here throughout this race. Tommy Reynolds filling in super sub, starting near the back of the field. At one point was near the front, but it only had to settle for a 21st place finish tonight. Not great for him, but we'll see him again on track, either in the 96 again as a super sub or in the 7 that he was in when he tried to qualify it last week in the duels. John Hagan started this race near the front, had a chance to look decent, and then it fell apart for Jacob Schenkel Racing and for Stepping Stone all at the same time. And for Hagan, he was not immune from that. 22nd place, lucky to be on the lead lap because he was involved in a couple serious accidents there at the end there. But definitely not what he was looking for. Again, Daytona strikes again for that 64 camp. Selena Thompson as well. very impressive early on. Well, almost got there at the very end of that race. We saw her up near the front, and then fell off the face of the earth there, got involved in accidents at the worst possible time in 23rd. Seems very undeserving for a driver in a car that was up front so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And her and Connor Morse both, a couple of the younger drivers in this field, absolutely showing a display of maturity out there and driving just like the big kids do. So excellent job from her. Not the finish she wanted, but the car control that was on display, not just by her, but the whole field tonight was what really caught me. It blew me away. Likes of that, including Zachary Apperson and Gary Donaldson, who, despite their issues, had a very nice avoidance at some point in this race and just didn't get quite as lucky as the others. DJ Anderson was in the top 10 on one of the green-white checkers, got caught up in the big one. Josh Arnold was up front, led some laps, ends up 28th, and then the cars that dropped off the lead lap but still got to the checkers: Chris Pendell, Hunter Peach, Nathan Estep, Josh Gaiman, Eli Sasek, and I'll want to see if Kevin Gibney did get to the line, because I think that would at least tie the record for finishing race cars, and I think Poznanski did, so I think we may have set a record for most cars to finish a Daytona 300, which is a great effort, especially because drivers like Poznanski, Denny, they could have just packed up and left. Lily Pelletier-Sharp does not make it to the finish. She will round out the field, but she ends it on lap 100, which means everybody made it to triple digits tonight, and I think that's the biggest takeaway of all.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, phenomenal race. I say once again, probably one of the best restrictor plate races we've ever seen. Easily better than last season's race, which was already impeccable. A fantastic job there. What a way to kick off the season. We said it was going to be big. We said it was going to be historic, and it was in just about every shape and form. What a night. What a holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, coverage will continue over on ABN2. We'll be heading there in just a moment with a minute or two of intermission. So if you're wanting to follow it there, don't go anywhere. We will be rating them through the Twitch feature as Carmen gets set up over there. So no stress there. It'll be a seamless shift broadcast. And with that being said, speaking of the broadcast, thank you guys so much for being here with us for what has been a magical night under the Floridian lights, the fireworks in the sky. You can still smell the sulfur of that, and you can still smell the rubber of all the cars that were out there, and Josh Sosi burning it down on the front straightaway. Plenty of fans in the chat and in the grandstands, and they don't have to go very far, because in 7 days' time, we'll be right back to do it all over again, but this time, we'll be turning right as well. It'll be a fun one to watch. You're not going to want to miss it from the road course, and again, Monday night. We'll see you all next time. Until then, take care, be well, and we'll see you over on ABN2 for overtime.
Ripped up there